so will not be a gym day today. And we're going to listen to the news. So my trades will still be happening. I'll put them in the chat. We want to thank everybody for joining us today.
11 o'clock.
One more time. It is 11 o'clock. NASDAQ, right now, IBIT breaking a little lower. 71,000 just got taken out on IBIT also. So NASDAQ trying to make a comeback, but don't call it a comeback until we're a little higher than where we are right now. I was like, hey, would we still be happy with the NASDAQ up 2.5%? We both said yes early. Guess what? NASDAQ up 2.5%.
That's a great day.
Yeah, we're still short. It's been a good day. All right, practice.
Taxes.
This ain't practice. We're about to go to middle of the day with Obi and Joe. Adair will still be here. We'll catch you on the other side.
Oh.
Ciao for now.
She's not there.
Punctuality is second to none.
Boom.
A lot we got going on, man. AIXI starting to find a rebound. The market absolutely bonkers today. Welcome, everyone. I got to mute the site. I got my boy, Mateo. He's going to pull up here momentarily. Is that him? That's Mateo. I'm going to send it to Obi here real quick, and then after we'll get right into some roll call.
Yes, sir. Hopefully everyone's doing well there. What a crazy morning. Market with a gap up of over 3%. I was just like, oh boy, all right. Well, I'd be surprised if there isn't any selling coming in off of the open. And selling, definitely we've had. And we heard Sean just talk about Tesla, and Tesla was absolutely aggressive. Tesla, I know a couple people that might have had this one on the just the pre-market low breakdown. Take a look at that. 360 doesn't even look back, but you got to be there quick right off of the open and slap that. Even if you didn't, the consolidation well below VWAP. The breakdown of that opening range low, 5-minute opening range low, 353s, boom, very, very directional on the day today, but yeah, some solid opportunities if you were there for them. I didn't necessarily have the Tesla short, unfortunately, but I did have the Intel short as well. Still sitting in a little bit of this as of right now. Wow, it got down to 56.20s. GG's. Yeah, whenever I leave my desk for a few minutes, it always goes for a little bit of a run, whatever position I'm in. But yeah, had to try it once, and then the second time around, slowly, lightly building into that and catching a little piece off of that one there right now. But it seems like we're catching a very strong bounce here since I sat down at the desk. 56.20s all the way to 56.80s, so that's about a 60 penny a pop. Right back up into VWAP. I'm curious to know whether or not it gets a lower high here. But remember, today is day 2 of the catalyst for Intel. Yesterday, we got news that they're an affiliate with SpaceX. So there was a bit of a bid gap up on that, and consolidative pretty much for majority of the day. Didn't really do anything too crazy, but it seems like today was the move for that continuation. So shout out if you had the long off of the open. One of the only few things that actually gave us a strong bid off of the open today was Intel. Another name that, yeah, arguably one of the, you know what, my opinion, one of the best opportunities in terms of earnings names, that would be Delta Airlines, right? Doing some decent relative volume in the morning, 25 to 30 times. I had it on watch. Guess what? I took it off my watch right here within 5 minutes. So let's go to the 1 minute chart. Boom, 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 boom. It does this crazy shake and bake. And then right here, I take my eyes off of it. But guess what? Opening range low breakdown right there does not look back. You don't have to chase. You don't have to, you don't have to chase this. You don't have to be like, all right, we're punching in right away. Take a look at this. This is your confirmation. I know a lot of people like to wait for confirmation. So if you're not already a little bearish and getting involved at VWAP or on the flow towards the day low, like I kind of like to do, and taking more on this, it gives you the retest of the opening range low right there at 949. Well after the open, after the 15-minute ranges have been formed as well for your continuation to the downside. And we've pretty much taken back everything that we did on the earnings report. So beautiful, beautiful opportunities there. I know AAL also kind of similar in the space. Sure, the opening range low is not going to be as clean on this one, but guess what? AL is not the one in play. DAL is the one that has had earnings on the day today. So that's kind of my day so far. Nothing too crazy. What have you been up to?
Yeah, nothing, man. We're saying what up to everyone in the chat, man. AIXI just going on without me. That'll get to you, that's for sure. Welcome, everyone. We'll do a little bit of a roll call. I don't have it there, but we'll hit the stone cold for everyone in the chat. What's going on? The real Gary F. Hangry Wife. Hope everyone's having a good day. This is Mike P. DeRider. Some good rebound signals across the board. Man, I stepped out of my desk. We're discussing some things here, some big things on the floor, and I missed my opportunity to get involved in this AIXI trade once again as it's starting to rebound extremely aggressively, waiting for the pullback in Bitcoin. 5-minute hammers across the board. We have to take advantage of this one, especially maybe in the NASDAQ. But the NASDAQ was not my friend this morning, that's for sure. A couple more recalls. Guzman, what's up, everyone? TNT, who we got scalping every direction. Big smoke here. Says smoked. Realize that when J. Lee 824 is backed by the Kushners. Yes, them. Okay, I didn't know that. I'm not getting that deep into it, my friend J. Lee. Anyways, terrible trades. Yo, 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 Joe. What's up, everyone? Pathic, Gorev, Pablo Escobar. What's good, Brody? And what's going on, guys? King Clutch, everyone. Oh, I thought you were going to say you're going to pop off, man. Why, Ryan? Why do you got to be like that, my boy? Anyways, Dead Cat bounces. Zach, what's up? Is my girl Jody Mills in the chat? What's up? Melanin, Particles. I have a deficiency, actually, to be honest with you. Anyways, aside from that, in case you were curious, Grey Worm, Lee the Conductor, Charlie Wholesome, and Trade or Fade. Love you guys. Thanks, says Pablo. I'm here, says Douglas. All right, man, I'm glad. Joey Smooth says, why not? Aside from that, guys, let's get right into it. IBIT long, no-go. Okay, no-go zone if you've ever watched that show. AAL. Missed opportunity on this one on my behalf as well. So, I mean, we were trying to play the cues for this bounce. It came a little bit later, but a nice rebound signal across the board. Now I'm just waiting for this pullback in Bitcoin. Maybe we can get 55s, and then we're going to be rocking and rolling. But as for AAL, this is what we have here, guys. Nice long off the get into VWAP. I piece them out approximately 30%. I take some more off as we start to reject, and then I get all out before it comes back against my break even. Oh, what do? Flip game, bang, 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 and then it gets stopped out break even, but unfortunately we did miss the majority of this trend, but that's okay. AIXI is him once again today. AIXI, beautiful prints across the board. This 1 minute candle is like essentially, so I was waiting for a pullback into here. We never got it. So I was sitting in this consolidation. Then I got up from my desk to go talk to our boy Mateo. You guys don't know Mateo, but shout out Mateo. And then sure enough, off to the races it goes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Anyways, aside from that, just consecutive buying, and we haven't really slowed down. Bitcoin's starting to find a rebound as well too. That's going without us. Cool stuff. 40 20s. Am I chasing it up here? Absolutely not. We want to wait for at least 15s before we get involved or any form of a pullback. I think this might be the rebound candle of the day. Oh, you want to talk about a couple other names? Am I going fast? Yeah, well, I can speed it up. Just kidding. We're going to slow things down a little bit here now, Obi. Considering. Yeah, yes, there you go, Assassino. Attempt 1, no go. Attempt 2. Bang, you take it off. That was a nice little move. Man, this consolidation on the 1 minute was absolutely bonkers, this accumulation. Right? I'm like, holy schmoly. I'm watching, and I'm losing my ish. I'm like, man, what's going on? Like, NVDA is starting to climb higher. Google's climbing higher. Everyone's moving, but the NASDAQ is going absolutely nowhere. And then that's when I decided to drop that one like a bad girlfriend, essentially. And then sure enough, bang, 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 you're now starting to recover a little bit. But this was a big-time accumulation, and I thought that we would get a rebound. A lot of buying pressure. Move back into VWAP would be the ideal target there, but nonetheless, you don't even get an additional liquidity grab, and now we're slowly starting to curl over. So, I mean, a little bit tougher of a look on this specific name, but nonetheless, we got some high-quality opportunities ahead of us before we jump on anything. So, would you rather a bet or? Oh, yeah, exactly. That's a good one. I like that one there, YB. I like that one there, my boy. Aside from that, guys, AIXI was him. We're getting this pullback that we want here in IBIT. That's going to give us a potential out at the lows. We only want to risk X amount of cents, right? So we got to be patient and wait for those levels to get in. Other than that, have you, you're short Intel right now?
I've been short, bro. I've been short since 10 a.m.
Since 10 a.m. for an
Like,
hour, been short. Okay.
Yeah. I was sitting in it, and I was just like, this always happens to me. I'm sitting at my desk. I'm sitting in a position. It's almost time for the midday, and then the move finally starts to go, and I'm like, okay, what do I do here? Of course, I throw in the stop, but like, where is my target? I already took some off at my first target there at around VWAP, but I'm looking for a potential continuation, man. The Nasdaq is very, very clear on the day today. It's very clear where it's headed. It's gapped up over 3%. We don't necessarily see a gap up like that very often. We were talking about statistics yesterday, so it's all about the statistics and the statistics on some of these futures. Just when things gap up like crazy over multiples of percent, got to go back and look at what happens every time. What's the probability of that kind of stuff happening more often than not? So yeah, maybe some profit taking off the open, definitely in some swing positions for sure. Yeah, it seems like that continuation is pretty aggressive. And a lot of traders also talking about how the reaction to the ceasefire is a little overdone, right? It was just like, okay, yeah, that's a little bit, a lot of bit more than expected. And last night I'm there being like, all right, cool. I don't need to log in till like 8 p.m. because that's when we're probably going to hear news. And then a couple hours before 8 p.m. is when we got that news of the ceasefire. And shout out to any of the traders who were up, who were prepared, who were trading the after-hours session and caught that move on the futures there as well. But yeah, no, I caught some pieces on NVIDIA in the blue ocean. Nothing too crazy. I think there was continuations on Micron and SNDK overnight. Let's see how those were doing. Both of those showing some extreme strength in the overnight session there. Let's see how Micron did off of the open. Yeah, some more of the same relative to the rest of the sector here when it comes to tech. Some selling off. VWAP holds, SNDK as well. Okay, got a bit of an opening drive on this one. That was nice, but then seller dominance throughout the rest of the day. 807, 97s there is the high of day on that one. And Tesla can't stop, won't stop when it comes to, I would say, let me just look around real quick. I got to make sure Meta's, okay, you know what? Meta might be up there too, along with Tesla, the most relatively weak on the day. And Tesla, I was looking for a bounce, but I'm glad I didn't really take a fill on this one because I tried to look for a bounce here at 355s, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Honestly, like the fact that we've gapped up so much and we slammed through 360, I should just stay a little bit hands off and reassess if and when it does get back up to VWAP, because maybe then I can get in for a little bit more of a confluenced trade. Guess what? Sellers step in way lower here for the continuation below low a day. So thank God I didn't take the long there, but maybe it'll come in. I have no idea. We've got to wait for this market to bounce. Adair?
So take this how you will, but I am seeing apparently we've got some Iranian officials telling state media, so again, it's a state media report, do take that as you will and be aware, but apparently they're saying that Iran may rise in, quote, full-scale defense at any moment as Israel violates the truce agreement. For what it's worth, we've also heard reports that Iran has violated the agreement as well, with Qatar actually saying that Iran launched drones and missiles in their territory. So it does seem to be a two-way violation. Regardless, Iran saying at this point that they could, quote, rise in full-scale defense as, I guess, the ceasefire has now officially been violated. If I get more details, I'll let you know. Keep an eye on oil. If I hear from any other countries or any other sources, I'll certainly keep you posted. I also want to let you guys know, because we haven't done this in a while, new post here on X at TTV Research. I showed this one in the morning, but I just posted like right now. Here's a look at Delta's GAAP operating revenue for Q1 2026 and its growth per segment. We're going to get a similar infographic for Levi's, which also reported before the bell actually last night. That'll come out later this morning. Back to you.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, no, it's a lot of uncertainty. A lot of uncertainty, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like
it seems like everybody loves their tacos
going on right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, it's tough because it moves the market, every headline that essentially comes out. So you just have to be prepared. And that's why yesterday I was looking at some of these small cap names. We got a nice little pop there in Bitcoin, but with this news continuously just consistently being negative, we have to be extremely cautious. That pullback wasn't bad. We're at a good level that we want. We're out at 40s if it continues to slide, but I do like some of the buying pressure that stepped in. We could take one more attempt here on the NASDAQ, or we could just avoid it at all costs. I do really like some of these indecision prints across the board on some of these names. I mean, if NVDA continues to bounce, and we talked about this before, when you see the same signal on so many names, then it's like, hey, you almost have to take the position. Here it is on NVDA, right? So that's a nice little move. You have it at VWAP here on AAPL starting to come in a little bit. Google, what are you up to? Same thing, same narrative. Nice little buying pressure candle right there. Same thing going on with Microsoft. Need I go on? Sure, I will. There's the same thing in Amazon, and I've seen it at INTC, OB short, right at the volume weighted average price as well too. So we got to take that trade. Look at it on AMD. What a thing of absolute beauty there, OB, as it's starting to rebound, and that's what we're looking for. I did size down a little bit on this position considering, but nonetheless, we hold it for a little bit more. 20 cents on this one. Maybe we'll wait for like a point, like a 3/4 of a risk to one, and there you go. You get an additional move higher. Ideally, the target is the volume-weighted average price, but I think that might be a little bit of a stretch at this point. So we'll take it off from a risk-to-reward standpoint. Can I help you make some money, says Top VOP? Yeah, I mean, hey man, what do you want? What else do you want here?
All the help we can get.
Yeah, I mean, like, hey man, as many streams as possible. But hey, don't get too ahead of well, maybe not too ahead of yourself, but don't get too cocky or anything along those lines, all right? Because everybody feels that way when you're on a little bit of a heater. You think you are the top dog, and then the market will show you who really is the top dog eventually. So that's where you have to stay humble at all times, all right? So that's what we try to do. So IBIT continuing to climb. And in all aspects of life. So anyways, aside from that, let's go IBIT, let's go AIXI. We're keeping our eyes on that. And I think that we're going to get somewhat of a recovery here in the NASDAQ, guys. Keep an eye out on that one. And AAL starting to get a little bit of a bounce as well.
Yeah, catching a bit of a balance here. So I did kind of, add a little bit more here. Nothing too crazy. Pulling right back up in towards some of these levels where I was looking to get short in the morning here, 57.40. So swiping up almost $2 almost now. If it cracks through those highs, definitely will be much closer to that here on Intel. But holding that VWAP quite well, holding a prior support resistance level. You can see here on Intel, this was in and around that opening range high, 56 teens roughly, and then we pull back into 56.18 before catching a strong bid all the way up to 57.30s now. So a dollar bid coming in off of this, reclaim a VWAP, that's nice as well for that potential continuation. And bigger picture, yeah, day two of this catalyst here on INTC. Market with a bit of a bounce here, strong flush into and through that 25K mark. We're getting the first green 15-minute candle of the day. That one closed. Now attempting a second green one here with about 12 minutes left. So we'll see if there's any sort of follow through on that bid. The bid is coming in from the 1045 candle. 11 o'clock, that one closed green as well. We'll see how this 11:15 one ends up, 11:31 ends up closing here. So 11:15 was the one that closed green for the first time since the open. You can see we were just chopping sideways chop around 25,200, and then what was that on the ES? 68.30s on the ES, roughly, give or take 10 points there on that one. That one continuing to catch a little bit of a sell here, 6,800. So we'll see how this 15-minute comes into a close. Was that just a little bit of a relief and then seller step right back in? I don't know. Those are the questions that I'm potentially asking at the same time. Yeah, Tony SRX saying KISS, definitely have to keep it simple as possible. When I complicate things way too much, I find myself, fumbling and not making the right decision. Sometimes you just got to be like, all right, this is just, buy with the buyers and sell with the sellers. Keep it that simple, right? I like my reversion, so guess what? People are like, oh, well, you're not getting with trend. Guess what? I'm waiting for the sellers to step in, or I'm waiting for buyers to step in so I can get involved with them. And essentially, when that turn happens, I'm with trend. Eventually. So that's kind of the idea there. But yeah, it's keeping it simple to that point can definitely help a lot with some decision making at the same time. But it's easy to say, much harder to actually execute in real time, obviously. Absolutely. But I'm still looking for the next opportunity waiting for maybe some potential news to drop as well. USO not doing anything too crazy today. Haven't really got involved in this one just yet, but we're back into this prior range on that flush down. We marked this range right here with you guys over the past couple of weeks, and you can see just dropping back into the range here. 116s to 124s is where I have this this support and resistance area, and we're just chopping in between that right now. So nothing too crazy. Holding VWAP, breaking above VWAP, pulling into some pre-market highs and consolidating sideways since about 10:30. So almost an hour sideways consolidation on USO. But I think for this one, just got to wait for some news to come out and then potentially look for opportunities there. Because I mean, honestly, like I really like a news-driven environment. I think the volatility is something that I definitely strive on. I like fast-moving things that just, they just go, or they give you a clear visual of what's happening right now, right? Whether that's a bid and a stall, or a sell in a stall, or a continuation, it's a lot of time it's very clear to see. So gotta be patient for some of those opportunities to show up to really exercise to the best of my abilities here. TQs, man, looking like we might actually get this bounce off of that 25. That's probably looking good for your IBIT there.
Yeah, it's not looking bad right now, Obi, to be honest with you. I want to wait for that next target, 40s, 35s. We take some off there. Little 15-cent pop. We're going to wait for that 20-cent pop right there. 30% removed. We need the market to participate on this one. I see you, Taylor. The HUBC. I have my eyes on it, to be honest with you, but I just, that was a nice bull flag, actually, to be honest. So what do you have to, oh, snap. That was a big time move right there. So 13s, you risk below this structure right here. Absolutely, that's a big time wow, my friend. And then sure enough, you get that strong move, and there it goes, off to the races on HUBC. Oh man, what a ride some of this stuff is. Let's see if we can get the overall market to start to participate. But again, I was talking about the NASDAQ really not moving. Took your idea in it. Nice. Well, I mean, I don't know. That was a good bull flag. Like, I was a little bit late on it. I wasn't really paying attention to it, considering that we just took 30% off here on IBIT. We're looking for that move into 40s, but that doesn't necessarily we're going to get it before we have some form of a pullback. All right, so we have to be patient on this one. If it's relatively strong, and we're not going to complain about it. Now we're starting to print 36s again, so that's positive. We'll take that all day. I want to put our quote highlights up here, but we'll be patient, take another 33% off at 40s, and then we'll see if we can rock and roll and maybe head back towards the volume-weighted average price. I mean, we talked about this time and time again, that just the fact, be cautious of some of these pre-market just exuberant moves in Bitcoin and everything, because it typically leads, I got to start collecting a little bit more data on it into intraday selling. Adair.
Keep an eye here on MSFT. This is near or I guess at intraday lows, more or less. Not a massive headline, but just be aware they announced they're looking into a problem that's impacting several Microsoft 365 services. I also have to let you know about more headlines in the Middle East. Wall Street Journal reporting that apparently Israel was not happy about the ceasefire announcement because they were not consulted on the terms of the deal. Heard about that already, but furthermore, they're going to actually be convening their security cabinet on Wednesday to discuss the ceasefire with Iran. If I get more details from this, I'll let you know. Either way, though, if and when this situation develops, it's worth keeping an eye here on oil.
All right, thank you.
I mean, yeah, I know these guys are. They just chill out a little bit, man. You guys were battling Hamas. Anyways, aside from that, we need the market to continue its bounce here, guys, and that's really, I think, the majority of people, all of us, essentially care about. So we'll keep an eye on IBIT. Some big things working. Mateo and I in talks about a couple of things as well too. Same with some of the algo boys. So looking forward to getting into more conversation about that in the near future.
Did you get that figured out, or it's not? It's showing up?
I showed you what it is, like what happens, right?
Yeah. So that's the issue right now.
I don't know if that's the issue, but I was talking to somebody in the back office as well too, and they don't have that drop down tab. So once they figured out, so that's why I told Mateo to come here and I showed him what I found.
You just got to have autofill on for the drop down to be active.
Is that what it is?
That's all it is. Yeah, I said
How
that.
do you do it right now? Show it.
Okay, so right here, you take a right click, you go to customize, you go to settings, and then right here on the left, auto price and size, auto complete symbol.
Have that unticked, right?
Yeah. No, you have it ticked.
Have it ticked?
You're supposed to have it ticked. Yeah.
See, so customized dialogue. We're doing things live. Settings. Mine's ticked. Okay.
Yeah, that's why yours gets the drop.
Yeah. Okay. That's simple enough. Yeah, you can tell those guys. I don't know if you want to DM Jose or something like that.
No, I think I told them already. Yeah.
Did you? Oh, okay. All right. So they got that figured out, but for some reason it only drops down on mine. This is the older version. Anyways, aside from that, guys, let's go. Come on, print 40s for us here. IBIT strong tape. We're getting a little bit of a rebound here in AIXI, and we're consolidating. I have the utmost confidence in this specific signal right here. Doesn't mean it's going to work. Absolutely not. But what I am starting to see is that we're getting somewhat of a turnaround. And this is the turnaround print. I already know that the algo picked this up and is looking for a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio on it. Probably on Bitcoin as well. I don't know if it's necessarily going to pick it up on NVDA. We can check right now, but it needs to close as the criteria are very specific. And if they're not met, then it won't pick it up. Okay, so yeah, it wouldn't pick up NVDA, but it may pick up AMD. No, it didn't pick up AMD either, but that's okay, man. The more specific you are, the less it triggers. Sometimes a little bit better it may go. So anyways, aside from that, guys, let's head over to our scanner. We're looking at some of these small caps. Is HUBC still going? Oh my Lanta, it is going still. All the way up to 15, now printing 16s off of that 13 cent mark and continuing to climb. You really got to hammer the shares on that, though. You got to take at least like 1,000 or something like that in order to even make it worthwhile. Just punching a couple hundred is not going to really do anything there.
Well, you got to take a few more than that. If it's 15 pennies,
you have to take 1,000.
You got to take. You got to take at least like 10.
10 sorry, big dog. Sorry,
come on, bro.
Sorry, my boy, man. At least 10,000.
Yeah,
I'm saying to make it even worth
make
your
a
while.
dent, exactly. To actually make it worth my while. Yeah.
You want to hit at least a thou wow there. Aside from that, Obi, I'm pretty good. How's your intel working out? We were over at the watch list looking at it not too long ago. INTC down to 57.14. You still have some breathing room. Did you add or something?
No. So I had a stop above halves, 57 halves. Stopped me out for the rest of it. You know, unfortunately didn't get a chance to cover down here at 56.20s, but it goes back up to there, stops me out. I'm like classic, and then start selling and kind of starts to step back in. So I'm dabbling with it again. Again, similar area where I liked it before. I'm just like, okay, supply came in here before. Is it going to come in here again on the first kind of a beeline all the way up into that zone? Sellers step in. So I do want to get involved and keep it a little tight here. We'll see. We'll wait and see what happens with this one here. But where's the next trade? That's what I'm looking for. This one, essentially, the initial move that was pretty much what I was looking for. With much less size here. If it starts to actually work and gets back below VWAP and starts doing some other things, then yeah, I'll be more than interested to take some more here. But we'll keep it light until it actually shows us more of what I am looking for here. Let's see what else is going on here in these markets. In play names, there was not too many on the day today. So if I was focused on in play names, definitely a better chances of the day going well. And we already talked about some of the airlines there. But there was one that I kind of took off of my screen, and that's Levi's. Levi's here coming in with the earnings gap up. So we have another name here, which we get that earnings gap up and a fade back in on that one right off of the open, right? And it maybe gives you another opportunity here after a false break of this I guess, opening session high there. What is that? Specifically, high of 22.45 here at around 9.49, and then 10.17 we come in and give it a high of 22.50 before sellers step right back in for a test of that day low. So this leg right here, absolutely beautiful, especially if weren't able to catch the opening flush right there. So yeah, no. I think I'm just gonna stay patient. Wow, DAL's still going. That's the thing here.
The downside.
This is the one you could just get in, stay in, and just go grab a coffee, go grab some breakfast, put in your stop, opening range high. Sure, it's a little bit wide, but guess what? We can just measure that out. What has that given you so far, right? You're getting in opening range low, risking to opening range high. Obviously I'm not risking that wide. If I'm getting in on the opening range low break, I'm expecting it to go right away, but it gives you roughly a 1.5 to 1. But giving it a more realistic risk, which is maybe the last place where sellers actually decided to step in, that's 73.03s, that changes your risk to reward all the way up to 3.5, over 3.5 now to 1. Right, so depending on how you're looking at the same kind of trade, your R to R can obviously get skewed magnitudes of a difference. But at the end of the day, the trade is the trade. The trade is today on DAL. The trade is to get short. Right? The trade is to fade this move, especially when sellers are telling you that they're in charge. So whether you're taking a 1.5 to 1 or a 3 to 1 or even multiples of that, if you're getting it real tight, say you get in here, Joe, right? And you're just like, okay, opening range low, I'm risking a back through. So get specific, 72.28s, we can be like, all right, if it gets back to 72.30s, I'm out. You're risking what, 2 pennies, 3 pennies? This high right here gets you in at 27s. You can even get in here at 25s and risk 5 pennies to that opening range low, and guess how many pennies you get to the downside, right? So the same kind of area, the same kind of idea, but a totally different skewed risk to reward. And this is why, remember, whenever we talk, I'm just like, yeah, I don't necessarily think in terms of R to R until the trade is done. Then I figure out, okay, how many R's did I make on it, right? Kind of the other way around, where I'm just like, okay, this is the trade, I'm getting in, this is my risk, let's put it on, and then the market will tell me when to get in or when to get out.
But you could have also a specific target in place.
No, of course, you can have targets, but here's the thing, the market doesn't care about your target.
Exactly.
The market gives zero,
exactly. So
about your target, but it is
you got a super chat there, Obi, from our boy. Danny Boy, morning
see
tilapia
the super
lovers.
chat here.
AAOI.
Morning tilapia lovers, AAOI breaking out here. Okay, all right, we can take a look at AAOI. I think this one's been running for a while, right? Okay, it was trying to break out here just a few minutes ago. Opening range highs, not really getting broken. 127.74s, and it comes just shy of that before sellers step right back in. You can see how aggressive the selling was off of the open as well, right? But when I say it's been running for a while, let's take a look at the weekly chart on AAOI. This is what I mean, right? We've been running since, I guess, even if you want to call it a breakout way further back in 2023, we've been doing a lot more volume than it had done before. Now, I don't know what was going on in the beginning of 2023, but a lot more volume, and the breakout of 45.78s with expanding volume here. So yeah, maybe poised for some legs higher, because this consolidation failed to break down. We reclaimed that 100, and I'm sure if you throw up some anchored VWAPs at some high volume places, we reclaim that as well. So good look there on AAOI. Not necessarily the time frame that I'm watching it on. Definitely have eyes on it for sure. But I think bigger picture is the more straightforward trade on AAOI. So a lot of chop intraday. You can see here, yeah, some days give you a pretty decent momentum, decent chance at getting with the momentum, but a lot of sideways chop on majority of the days here, including on the day today, selling off of the open, holding these 120s. Maybe if you're nuanced enough, you see the hold of 120s and you're executing on that for a push up to 125s, and you've gotten that so far, and VWAP is sitting in and around 123.45s as well. But yeah, not really watching it on an intraday scale, but maybe I should. You guys let me know. Are you guys trading AAOI intraday? And if you have you been doing it successfully? So that's the more important question. Market with a little bit of a bounce here. So that second candle after the first green prints a little red, and with about 11 and a half minutes left, it seems like so far, as of right now, we're sustaining a bid on top of that 25,000, and the ES catching a slight bid here as well. So seems like maybe the mags will get a bit of a bounce, but there is one name that is still not getting any sign of a bounce here, Joe, and that is Tesla. I mean, it did like look at the move, like from yesterday to today. That was a crazy gap up, and we talk about how many times did I talk about just, you know, again, shout out to the chat where, you know, they said, oh, keep it simple. Guess what? Sellers here on Thursday, right? Sellers here pretty aggressively on Monday at the beginning of the week, all day long, and then down here we get a little bit more selling yesterday, and we just gap up into Monday's opening range, right? that's it. If you bought on the dip, you're getting, if you bought on the dip either on day one, Monday or Tuesday, let's just measure from some of those lows. You got a 7.5, almost 7.5% bounce overnight, right? That's pretty crazy, and we've gotten over a 50% retracement of that bounce now, almost pretty much. You know what? Actually, all the way back into prior day's close, right? I don't know if you I saw the video that was posted on Trader TV where Sean and Neil were talking about what are some of the key levels, pre-market high and low, prior day close. Guess what? Tesla breaks pre-market low, travels straight, beeline into prior day close, and then now filling in some more of that range as well on an aggressive gap up, right?
All right.
So good stuff there.
There we go. Finally getting a little bit of a break there on IBIT. I mean, we'll hit the sirens on that one. Katina, man, as you stepped in. I missed what's for lunch. I did take a little bit more off. I'm going to take some more off there at the 40. At the 40 mark, we add into the momentum. All right. Let's see if we can get some. We want to take it a little bit off, but that's all right. Good thing it wasn't anything substantial. Aside from that, Obi, a nice little pop in the overall market. I think considering we broke through that supply zone, then I think we have a good chance of maybe getting a little bit of a continuation here at this $40 mark. Volume starting to uptick as well, too. So IBIT definitely starting to cook up for us here today, and you can see that the tape is pretty strong, and that's some signs of strength that we're looking for here. Essentially, slight downtick, but that's okay. Expect the volatility, man. That's why some of these small cap names are a good route to go, because essentially they just avoid all of this noise. We were playing AI.
They're also full of volatility.
They're full
That's
of
the volatility that you want as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is just chop in the market.
This is chop. This is chop, essentially. And here, Adair is going to bring us a little bit of this market news. So, all right, Adair, what do you have for us in the crypto markets?
I promise we will talk about Bitcoin, but I want to start with kind of an interesting story from the New York Times. It concerns this individual on my screen. His name is Adam Back, and according to a New York Times report, he is Satoshi Nakamoto. Now, of course, that's the writer of the white paper and the creator of Bitcoin. It's worth noting Adam Back has denied this both to the New York Times during their report and repeatedly. And now there's also the question of, does anyone even care who Satoshi is anymore? But either way, kind of interesting discussion here in the crypto world. So I thought I would bring it up with you all. And another fun fact, the individual who wrote this New York Times story, John Carreyrou, is also the same individual who played a role in exposing Elizabeth Holmes of Theranos. So Wall Street fun facts over here on Trader TV Live. Let's talk about Bitcoin, though. Beyond who Satoshi is or is not, BTC continues to chop within this range. Brendan pointed out this morning that that 76,000 level does continue to be a level of resistance for Bitcoin. As of now, we haven't even really gone anywhere near it. We're still actually struggling with yesterday's high, and when I mean yesterday's high, I mean rather last night's reaction high on the first reports of the 2-week ceasefire. That's going to be that area just shy of 73,000. Yesterday's high was around 72.7. Today's was 72.8. But either way, we're still struggling to break into that 73 level. Currently trying to hang on to 71,000 right now. Let's talk here about Ethereum before we send you back to the guys. Ethereum continuing to look very similar to Bitcoin, struggling with yesterday's high and its longer-term resistance high. In the case of Ethereum, that's going to be around 2,376. We're going to send you back to the guys, so do make sure to like and subscribe. Obi, Joe, what are you guys looking at?
Goes to the market, guys, and we were talking about this. I mean, we like the IBIT long, especially after that signal. We talked about it being across the board. You have the consolidation, multiple opportunities to essentially get involved right here at the low of this consolidation, and then now you're starting to climb. You can look for that next potential zone. We'll get the volume-weighted average price up here. I think that might be a potential target as well, too, to keep in mind. But if more headlines, step in, then it's going to make things a little bit more difficult, all right? So not too bad of a look here. Nice enter, boom, 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 boom. We take some more off right there, and now we're only sitting on about 20% of our position. So we'll be patient and wait for some new highs if we're fortunate enough to get that. I think at this point, it's going to be a longer grind back to the volume-weighted average price. And I don't know if we're going to test the high of the day at this point, considering it's 41.50. We talked about a lot of supply on the options chain as well. Considering here on IBIT, expiring this Friday. We had this congestion zone through the 41. We reject that after the open. We were chilling around 41.50 around the opening auction, and then sure enough, we flushed lower. $42. We couldn't quite head into that level, but 39 holding up relatively well so far here today, OB. And there goes the market. I mean, that was a good opportunity. Back to our previous entry price. Wait for these pullbacks. If you get a retest of 47.60 and it doesn't look overly weak, maybe you'll find a good opportunity to get involved with some longs.
Yeah, for sure. We were just talking about how that bid might be showing up here on top of that 25,000 here on the NASDAQ, and then boom, we get a bit of a consolidation high breakout here. So the first sign of actually bars breaking above the prior highs here, especially on the 15-minute, we have not seen necessarily a strong prior bar high break. The first green did give you a little bit of a break, just a tiny bit there, but this is maybe potentially the follow through. I don't know, just a question that I'm asking here on the day. USO taking a bit of a pullback here off of this 123 area where it's been struggling to push past since about 10:30 here. Strong bid coming in on USO on the open of the market, again, with the rest of the market selling off, but 123s can't really get through it, and it's been trying for over an hour now there on USO. I don't know what that coincides with when it comes to crude oil. I'll pull up the chart and check in a little bit, but regardless, the sentiment's the same. There might be a little bit of a hold here on top of 123s that it's struggling with as of right now. So maybe we take a pullback into VWAP, right? One of the great opportunities on the USO over the past few weeks have just been mean reversion. Right? Regardless of which way the news comes out, regardless of which way it pushes it, some of the mean reversion that's happening off of these moves has been absolutely beautiful. So a lot of opportunity there for sure. We got a super chat here, KJL Toddler with the super chat. Out of BTC short, now long SILJ, S-I-L-J? What is S-I-L-J here? Amplify Junior Silver Miners ETF here. So nice. Good stuff here. Nice little bounce happening there as well. So I guess I'm assuming that JKL is you're trading. Are you trading BTC as in like IBIT, or are you trading Bitcoin itself? Are you trading some other vehicle on that? That's my question to you. But good look there on silver. Seems like silver catching a bit of a bounce here. Metals were moving around this morning, coming into the day with that gap up as well. We got gold. I did take a look at gold here and silver. You can see gold by the ounce. Maybe catching a bit of a bid overnight. You can see that, but selling off as well. Silver at the same time, kind of a similar story here on silver. What am I looking at? USD by the ounce. Strong bid overnight, and then nice little reversion happening coming into the opening session here as well. Let's see what SLV is up to. Very similar to that the J ETF that we just looked at. Bit of a bounce happening as of right now. The seller dominance off of the open regardless, right? So a bit of a reversion happening of the leg that we got overnight. And it seems like, metals, I like the correction on metals every now and then. If they move a little too far, the market goes like, whoa, slow it down there. Yeah, let's bring you back to a mean.
That silver was great. That silver stuff was crazy. Yeah. I mean, like, it was all fun and games when we were climbing higher, but then it's like, okay, look what happens after. You have just an event where
both ways.
It literally dropped 20%. Well, I mean,
in a single day,
in a single day.
It's so crowded, right?
I mean? Yeah, exactly.
It gets so crowded, and it's just like everyone's just boom.
A large participant is like, all right, let's hit the sell button on this one, on these guys here. All right, we're gonna take an attempt. Like, I mean, this trade's gonna work relatively quick, or we get stopped out. It's literally that simple. I like what I see here on AIXI. We're gonna take an attempt on it. Super tight risk. Like, this is, we're talking like 3-4 cents on this one here. I mean, it is a $1.30 name, but nonetheless, I like what we have. Pull back, aggressive. Maybe we can find somewhat of a rebound here, especially on this 1 minute print. If it punches through that 26 mark, we're at a dodge. Super chat, Neo going back to Cali. Go Dodgers. Yeah, I mean, the Jays aren't playing good right now. See, the thing is, like, you want it to turn around relatively quick, but we're just riddled with injuries. So I'm not going to get too much into it. Neil might get a little upset there. And I mean, it's tough because so many eyes on them this year and they haven't been performing, and that makes things significantly more difficult. So, yeah, poor Jays. I'm not going to say poor Jays. You go to the World Series, but that's a quick turnaround. It's like the NFL, right? Like one day you can be the hottest team. The next day you're essentially not at all. So, there it is, bang, a nice little pop there on AIXI. Let's see if this move can be continued there, Obi. A pretty good entry, risking a couple pennies. We want to wait for that next 36 structure if we're fortunate enough to get it. It was hot yesterday. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be equally as hot here today. It's been struggling, and that's totally fine. So we'll keep an eye out here on AIXI.
Yeah, that's a good one from yesterday. I totally forgot about that one there. But yeah, lots of volatility on that one. Take a look at that 130s to 160s. It's a crazy. That's a crazy intraday move there. As well, my alarm going off, being like, if I'm at my desk, still messing around with a position, maybe go for a bit of a walk.
What's the alarm telling you to do?
The alarm says it's like a check. So statistically speaking, if I'm still like bagging a position past this point, and I've been in there for a couple of hours, it's just an alarm to be like, all right, just reassess and maybe go for a walk, throw in a hard stop, and
self-awareness.
Yeah. Just I found myself over time, sometimes like I'll hold a position from like 10 a.m. to like 11, 12 in the single position, no outs, no extra ins either, maybe some ads, maybe sometimes, but and I've noticed that gets me into trouble every now and then. So I'm just like, that's why I threw up an alarm around 11:45 to be like, all right, cool. Especially if I'm not in position as well and I've been sitting all day, go for a quick breather. But I've already done a couple of those today. So
a couple breathers here today. All right, man. Take the breath. Man, I was at the gym yesterday and then had to cut it short, do something. But man, I was just hitting the plank, and I was telling you guys that like I slept on the weekend. I pinched a nerve, and this morning it just woke up absolutely killing me. I couldn't move my neck for.
How's that leg recovery going?
It's going, man. Slow and steady.
You still doing physio or anything like that? Or are you just
I'm off
doing
the physio.
exercises?
I'm just more or less on the exercises at home now. I hit the bike every day and just try to get. I want to start running by the middle of next month. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case, but we'll remain optimistic. Have
you talked to your doctor about that?
I actually have an appointment, my final appointment with him tomorrow.
Nice.
So
Something definitely to talk to him about.
We'll see what he says. I think we're progressing pretty well, to be honest with you. So we'll see. Nice. A little different than last time, and I'm also 10 years older compared to the last time I tore it. So. All right, guys, let's go. Come on, break through this level. If we get this punch of 134, we might get an additional uptick, or it's going to tank aggressively and most likely come back to our break even. What we want to see is this bid get continuously lifted, and essentially that's not the case right now. So 34 is printing 34s, and we want to see it hit the bid so we can maybe look to take some off. It's at the ask. We need some strong and a larger participant to step in and lift it above this 34 ask, considering it looks like we have a little bit of a supply zone right now, Obi, at that level. So 31, it's down 31%. So you think about yesterday, it's like, okay, yeah, that was all fun and games when you're up 230%. Well, how about the face slapper? Except for it's the inverse of that there, Katina Man. You're down 31% here today. So touched a high of around $1.70, and then now we're trading around $1.30 and a low of the day of just about $1.15 or so. So, I mean, that's what I have right now. We're going to wait for it to break, and then the Bitcoin still slowly grinding higher. And the TQs got right back towards the volume-weighted average price. Yeah. So that's a really good look. Oh, nice. We're getting the 36 prints there. OB on AIXI. We'll take a little bit off right there. Bang. Not too bad of a little bounce, and the market is starting to recover as well.
Yeah, so no, let me know in the chat what other small caps or other stocks you guys are looking at. I'm more than willing to take a look at some of those, maybe looking for the next opportunity. That's always what I'm on the hunt for as of right now, while still kind of watching some of this Intel chop around that 57.5 level. If it breaks with any sort of distinction, then yeah, I'm more than willing to get out. Market is catching a bit of a bounce here, so we did get that follow through for now, with about 11 minutes left in this 15-minute candle to finish printing. Almost back up at VWAP are the TQs. SPY's already there. SPY's already way back at VWAP as of the prior few minutes. Apple holding below VWAP, Microsoft holding below VWAP. Tesla, we already know what's happening there, absolute bloodshed there. Relative to yesterday, maybe not so much because of the aggressive gap up. We're up much higher still, but still came back into the close, right? That's what's a little bit maybe more concerning about that name there. When it comes to Micron's coming back up towards VWAP. So we're seeing more of the same across a lot of these tech names and even the Mag 7s. They're making their way up towards VWAP. Maybe Tesla's just lagging behind, right? I got Palantir on my screen here as well. Why? Because it showed up on a relative volume scanner. So relative volume doing about 1.8 to 1.9. You can see here the reversion was quite nice. Didn't take us all the way back towards VWAP, but it does give you a decent move off of 146s all the way up to 148s and some change. But seller stepping right back into this one on the day. But let's see what you guys are doing. Tesla 335 puts. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, if you got them at the beginning of the day, you're doing pretty well on those. AIXI, we're already looking at those, at that, Taylor. Let's see what else. SoFi Novo, really? SNDK target 1,000. All right, well, slow down there. Slow down. We're on our way there, maybe. But it did show some decent strength in the overnight session. Let's see, ELAB. Okay, that's a good one there. ELAB. Let's take a quick look at ELAB, which is PMGC Holdings. Ooh. Yeah, talk about the chop on this one. But, you know, if you're looking at it from a much shorter time frame and getting involved with some of these breakouts and breakdowns, yeah, it gives you a quick, aggressive move right away. And then that move is not as well sustained as, you know, as you can see here on the chart. Straight sideways chop, but opening range high breakout, boom, it goes right away. When that bid stops and stalls, you can see right back down into VWAP. A hold of VWAP gives you a 50% retracement of that leg and the breakdown of that. This little consolidation gives you maybe a rough pullback into opening range lows. The false break of opening range lows gives you a reversion back into VWAP. So this is why, you know, small caps can be great for those quick little scalps that are very, very, you know, it's clear. I just named like 4 or 5 different trade ideas right there that it's given you. But if you look at this chart, yeah, sideways chop to say the least there. Let's see what's going on with Novo and VO here on the day. I think they may have had news prior day. Not 100% sure, but yeah, today nothing too crazy. Holding below VWAP, trending to the downside.
Yeah, they launched a Wegovy pill, but I heard it was kind of like mixed as to whether how good that was. That was yesterday though, and it also wasn't like super moving at the time. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah. No, I remember them having a little bit of something, but when I checked the chart and throughout the day, they weren't really doing anything too crazy here. INHD. We're looking for a bounce there, Taylor. Let's take a look at the INHD. Wow. Okay, this is something real nice here. Let's yeah. I mean, right away I can tell this is not that large of a market cap. 3.67 million. Nice. Market cap there. And take a look at this. Volume steps in, boom, 60 pennies. Look at that dollar breakout there. It gives you a bit of a chop pullback into 86s, pushes into 135s. And that when that move has finally exhausted, what a beautiful backside that is. 100% V-shaped recovery on this one. Stair step on the way down. VWAP halting down into VWAP. Can't even get back above VWAP on the open. Makes a lower high, halting down. So good look there on INHD, but it seems like we're going a little bit sideways on lower volume, and we've already had a crazy kind of move. Let's just measure off from the open. See, volume at the open was not that crazy. Maybe they had something intraday, but sometimes it doesn't really take much for these things to get going. You know, some group of traders or people can just be like, all right, let's start stepping this thing up. Boom, 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 squeeze. It gets on people's radars. You run it up, and then you just, you know, you sell to the marketing that you've just done, and you get a beautiful backside move as well. So great kind of. I wouldn't call it manipulation, even though it's closer to that than anything else. But great opportunities for both sides, I guess. If you see it and you catch it happening, who cares who's doing what? There's definitely actionable opportunities on both sides of this chart on INHD. So good luck.
All right, man. Yeah, good look there. I don't know what that's up there. Let's pull some things up here and have a little bit of fun. We told you guys, regardless, I'm pretty confident that it picked up some of these prints, and this is what we wanted to do. Essentially, we could go TQs, but we don't want any of that garbage. Get that garbage out of here. What's going on here? What day is this? What kind of noise is this? The hell? What the hell, Yante? The hell is that? I have no idea. Why is it saying?
Because you're on QQQC.
Well, it wasn't on QQQC before. There we go. Now it's starting to. There we go. Bang! Boom! Wham! Bam! Yeah, some good stuff on that one. I don't think it picked up these prints. It's not supposed to anyway. So okay, it did. All right, we'll take that. Tesla probably lost on that print there. Okay, didn't even pick it up. That's fine. Body not large enough on that one, and this is just the algo essentially. And then we can take a look and see if it picked it up on AMD. No, that's all right. But I mean, NVDA, AMD is starting to work for us. The TQs, it would have picked it up all day, every day, and then maybe even on IBIT. So there it goes. A nice little look on this one. So as of late, like you have to take into consideration. So there's why there's two of these created. Like I had shut this one off, right, so that it'd be eliminated, and then you could turn that one on in certain market sentiment, right? And sure enough, that's kind of the purpose of these essentially. So a nice little look on the algo there with the list of trades. It's not performing well right now, and that's totally fine. It's more or less the longer picture, right? So the past couple of days, April 8th and 7th, has been good, but the metrics still slightly negative. Profit factor not too well, because you can see that it took a couple of hits throughout the day. But this is essentially what you want to see on this. Say in the same day. Oh wow, this was done in like 10 minutes. Okay. Oh, okay, that's good. I mean, you'll take that without any question. Then we still have the open P&L on this one. I wish it told me my target on that one. Is this my target up here? 4880s, I believe. I don't know if it is, considering, but we can figure that out. Maybe I implement that into the code, because it's not so easy. It's just vibe coding now, essentially, at this point. So it makes everything so much significantly easier. Let's take a look at what IBIT has been doing. This thing has been getting slack, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's not been performing the best. Yeah. Ooh, getting some hits through the month of March and April. Yeah, I mean, that's the nature of the beast on that one there, Obi. We'll head over to the ones that are actually working. That's good. We like that for sure. And some other things. Aside from that, guys, I'm all out of AIXI, JView. Yeah, it's cooking. Yeah, I mean, DJ Reese, that's how we do. Can't hear you, Joe, or is it just me? Turn it up, Lemon's family. Maybe I can speak a little louder as well. Aside from that, a nice little scalp here. $1.31. We take some off. We had the most amount of shares, aside from the IBIT position, the initial one in which we lost. Starting to get a rebound, but it would have came back to my break even. We get out of that trade. We're still sitting in this IBIT trade. And I'm looking for the volume-weighted average price. A lot of people talking about Tesla starting to find somewhat of a rebound.
Yeah, it's a balance there.
Yeah, it is bouncing, so not too bad of a look, Gorb. I'm glad that you finally got this thing to work. It took some time, right? Just considering the momentum. Look how massive this candle is right at the opening drive. So you have the consolidation, an additional leg lower. You print what the rest of the market essentially was printing on the lows in the tech space, and then it rejects it. Prints a new low around 345, and then it takes some time for that underlying to turn around. Same thing here with Amazon. Amazon, a nice little bounce. AMD, we went through the Mag 7, and if we go through other names, you're going to probably see identical price action across the board, and that's what made me get involved into the Bitcoin trade. How's Ethereum? I haven't looked at Ethereum in quite some time. Do you trade ETHA very often, Obi, or not? That's a nice bounce. Look at that, bang.
No, not really that often there.
Yeah, we don't want to. We don't want to give Tom Lee too much yacht money over there now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still pondering the question: who is Satoshi Nakamoto? Right? I mean, does it
even really matter who he is?
No, I mean, does it not? I don't know. Maybe he's in for the 50-year rug pull.
Well, apparently it's not Adam Back, the guy that a New York Times reporter just spent apparently a very long time trying to prove it was him. So take that how you will. Kind of weird.
A lot of people were saying, yeah, exactly. Some people, for quite some time, obviously, since those previous files released, it was him. No one's going to ever know. You can guess a million times, and the chances are of you getting who it is probably very slim. How do you know Satoshi Nakamoto is one person? What if it's a group?
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know.
You have no idea. There's zero chance.
I'm just waiting for some of this quantum computing to come out because I think maybe they left.
Think he's going to show face at that point?
No, I think they probably left some clues in the code there as well as most of.
I don't know if the only way that you
players like to do. They like to leave footprints. So
I don't know if the only way you can track him is through his wallet. Right? Did he scramble it? Because he's one of the only wallets with 1 million Bitcoin. The last time it did a transaction, maybe you can follow that. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. You might be able to do that there as well. But no, going back to some of the algo talk. I do like what you mentioned. It's just like this day and age. Definitely should be trying out different ideas because it's not that difficult to kind of come up with a good idea, have it implemented, and start testing and actually putting in work for back testing some of these ideas. And the fact that it's not going to work in every kind of market environment. You're gonna have to. A whole different battle will be when to turn it on, when to turn it off, when to actually make it more aggressive versus less. But guys, it's 12 o'clock. We got happening now and Neil's lesson of the day, so we'll be right back.
We're going to get to what's happening now, but really quickly, I do want to mention another headline we have coming out of the Middle East. I've heard a couple of different things here now, reported by a couple of different sources, saying that one of the points of contention here is whether or not Lebanon is part of the ceasefire. I guess Iran and the U.S. did not believe that Lebanon was part of the ceasefire, so that's kind of been a bit of a point of contention here. I also want to mention here, just seeing as of a couple of minutes ago, still seeing comments coming from Iran's foreign minister Ergachi. I guess he's in a call with his Turkish counterparts. The Turkish foreign minister saying that Iran accepted the ceasefire as a basis for the complete end of the war. So it's a temporary ceasefire for now, but the goal is to have a complete end of the war. And again, Iran talking up these 10-point plan as basis for the talks with the U.S. We're very likely to get a little bit more here during this White House press conference, but we'll talk about that in a minute. I'm also just seeing now news coming here from Meta, META pushing higher after debuting its first AI model from its superintelligence group. Let's talk about what's happening now here in the market. SPY, now it's its third straight green candle here on the 15-minute chart. NASDAQ looking very similar. Of course, the ceasefire is going to be on watch, but we're very likely to get more commentary from the Trump administration in just about an hour. It usually starts a little bit later than that, but 1 p.m. is the time that we've gotten here for this press briefing with White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. I'll be covering that for you all right here from this desk. Now, an hour after that at 2 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be getting this FOMC minutes from the March meeting. Again, because this was such a long time ago and because a lot of views on inflation have changed at least a bit since that 2-week ceasefire was announced last night. This could be potentially completely irrelevant, but I think either way it'll give us a little bit of a sense of how Feds are feeling, especially given that this was the 6th straight Fed meeting with at least one dissenting vote. So dissent at the Fed remains alive. We'll have to see the extent of this dissent in those meeting minutes. Now, I also want to mention earnings are in focus. We had Levi and Air Test Systems reporting earnings yesterday after the bell. We've got Delta this morning here. This report was generally well received and also aided, I'm sure, at least in part, by a decline in oil prices. But we also have earnings tonight after the bell. We've got APLD and STZ. Tomorrow morning, we have BlackBerry. Now, we know BlackBerry is a favorite of Neil. And Neil, I mean, at least I know you had a BlackBerry at some point, Neil. I'm not trying to, force BlackBerry on you, but I'm trying to lead a transition here because Neil has a lesson, which is probably not about BlackBerry. So Neil, what is the lesson of the day actually about?
I mean, I can make it about BlackBerry, thank you, Adair. So the example I would use is just because you like a product doesn't mean that everybody else likes it. I didn't own BlackBerry stock. I had BlackBerries as longer than anybody that I'm aware of. I'm sure there's other people out there, but I had it as long as possible, but I didn't like the stock. I had a BlackBerry forever, and I own Apple shares because that's how I roll. I just think it's more important what the crowd is doing than your personal preferences when you're investing and you think a company's going to have growth. But no, that's not the lesson of the day. It's effectively, we saw something happening on USO, and obviously the volatility overnight was gigantic in oil futures and pretty much everything in the market. And then all of a sudden we opened up and there was one move and then we went sideways. And there's the power of let the market do something and then react to it sometimes instead of trying to anticipate a little bit much, because you remember that consolidation that we had in USO. It was just going sideways, but we had a bit of a wedge. You had higher lows from pre-market lows to 930. Let me zoom this in so you can see a bit better. Pre-market lows to 930. cresting into here. You could also make an argument you had some lower highs going in here, lower high, lower high, lower high. And then you had all this consolidation for 20, 30 minutes. And then right here, something different happens on the 1018 candle. The power of waiting for, and I know this isn't the futures, but right now we're in a situation where a lot of times oil is leading us, and so it's an indicator that matters. And if that goes up, tends to be a good spot for a market to come down or for risk trades to come off, for risk to come off, regardless of what it might be. There's a couple of examples, one of which I was in, one of which I was not, and I actually think was a better trade, the one that I didn't have, and I'll show you why in a second. If you don't do anything but wait until that seed change, remember Intel was the strongest stock out there. Usually at like a trend break. It broke trend here at 1009 and then held and then held. And then at 1018, when things were looking different in USO and it was breaking to the upside, that's the moment where it's like, okay, well now try the short. It doesn't break the high. And you could have been in this at any point. Like you could have been sitting in the same trade 10 minutes early or 8 minutes earlier and gotten exactly the same price and exactly the same fills, but I wouldn't have had the change in behavior of USO with it. And it so happens that it turns down. But I'll do you one better, because in this case, you're looking for a trend break. You want to short something that's weak. You want behavior to start changing in the market. But you know what's better than that? Shorting something that is already weak. In this particular case, ARM had a much better short setup. It's gapped up like everything else. Oh, looky, looky. That's overhead resistance where it rejected before at 152. That's a pop and fade, immediately failing the pre-market high at 930. Lower high right after that, trending down. And what happens at 1018? At 1018, you get a break of the low of the day. So right when everything is making that shift, oil's going up, you're flushing, great, it signaled a top on Intel, or it could have been short something breaking down if you found relative weakness here, as ARM broke the low and proceeded to then tank $4, a full 3%. So better move, possibly because it was a weaker name. I know it's going to say up 3%, but it was giving up the ghost just a little bit better. But the more important thing is, when you talk about patience, you have to consider sometimes you could be looking at the futures, you could be looking at oil, maybe it's one day it's the VIX, who knows, whatever your leading indicator is. When it's going sideways, when it's condensing, you strike when it breaks away. When it starts doing something different, that was a perfect sell signal that you didn't even have to anticipate. You could have just followed it in several names. And even better if you happen to follow it in something that was already weak. Hence why I can look back and say, well, ARM was weaker than Intel. That ended up being a better short. Usually this is where I show you guys the lunch and give you the grade, but I've already kind of finished up here and covered it with my garbage. Outside of the fact that there was Brussels sprouts, which I'm not a huge fan of in the vegetables, the chicken was pretty good, and there was a couple of bonus pieces of beef randomly with my vegetables. Not sure they were supposed to be there, but they were pretty tasty. The rice was completely plain white rice, so that brings it down a notch. I would give it like a 7.7, but the absolutely plain rice, and I don't like Brussels sprouts, so I'll give it like a 7.2. So pretty good. Yeah, I'll take it. Random pieces of beef, extra protein. Not sure why it wasn't on the menu. I would have preferred, I don't know if you've had it yet, Sean. I actually found the beef to have been better than the chicken. But it was only like 2 little bites that just happened to be on the plate, and there was a couple of legs or drumsticks of the chicken. But pretty good, guys. Good luck in the rest of your trading. The NASDAQ is retaken 25, and we're back to 3% up. What a day, what a day.
And we have some headlines. This first one I mentioned at the top of Happening Now, but I kind of sped through it, so I want to go over it again. Basically, META on watch after the Financial Times reported that Meta has released its first AI model since we had Mark Zuckerberg spending all that money to get an AI team last year. So about a year ago, we know we had Meta spending all of this money on their superintelligence team. Looks like said team has released its first AI model, so good luck for META. We also, during the time of Neil's lesson of the day, had a post from President Trump on Truth Social, and it is related to Iran, so I'm going to read most of it for you guys. Numerous agreements, lists, and letters are being sent out by people that have nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the USA/Iran negotiation. In many cases, they are total fraudsters, charlatans, and worse, all caps. They will be rapidly exposed after a federal investigation is completed. Here's the key part, guys. There is only one group of meaningful points, in quotes, that are acceptable to the United States, and we will be discussing them behind closed doors during these negotiations. These are the points that are the basis on which we agreed to a ceasefire. It's something that is reasonable and something that can easily be dispensed with. I was also reading, apparently there's like a different set of points that are being showed publicly and then a separate group of points that were shared with the U.S. Apparently we might get some clarity on that during the White House press conference at 1 p.m. But in case we don't, here is President Trump's take on it from Mr. Social Account. Back to you.
Good stuff, good stuff.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, to touch on a little bit here, Adair, I missed some. I know you just brought it back up here, but Meta and how Mark Zuckerberg and company were essentially grabbing talent left, right, and center. He had his super team, essentially, and I was looking forward to what these guys had to bring. They unveiled MuseSpark, the first artificial intelligence model from a team. It assembled a year ago, approximately, paying some of these engineers hundreds of millions of dollars, and also a big-time deal for Alexander Wang as well. So MuseSpark is the first in a new series of models. I'm looking forward to maybe seeing what this is. And unveiled it, so I don't know if it's ready just yet, but we can definitely take a look at it later on. Aside from that, guys, the market's continuing to climb. Be cautious for a nice steady grind higher as Meta had a big-time volatility spike. Obi was talking about this not too long ago, volume stepping in, and you climb all the way back up to 603. So Meta has been on a pretty good run as of late of that 520 low when you're coming off almost $200+ off of that previous pivot high after the earnings report, guys, of $744.
Yeah, some good volatility happening there. Maybe a bit of continuation as we are holding that 600. Take a look at this. You can even see it on a 1-minute chart where all of these past few bars, all the way from 1205 to about 1209, the news is relatively fresh, just holding on the offer at 600 clean. Boom, 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 boom. Finally breaks out of that 600, gives you almost instantly $1 and $1.50 to the upside there on Meta. So great stuff, great look there as well. 603.24s is the wick high of the reaction from that news. Seems like we're getting maybe a little bit of continuation here at the same time. USO, last I checked, a little bit of a breakdown here. Let's go to a 3-minute chart. So yeah, pulling back in. Yeah, there's a lot of, I guess, anchored and stuff. So I did put in an anchored from, I guess, last night's event there. We did break above it into here at around 10:30-ish. We broke above there and then pulling back in, just sideways consolidation, holding it quite well, to say the least, on top of that anchored now. So maybe is there a sentiment shift? I have no idea there. But well, nice, good stuff. Yeah, no, a bit of a break of this potential trend as of right now. Was that your alarm or?
Yeah, it's my alarm, man. It's telling me to get up and boogie.
Nice.
Yeah, no, seriously, it's just something. I'm not ready to dance just yet, Obi, but hopefully we can get things going. Did you guys hear that? What was that? Yes, everybody dance now.
Yeah, like a TikTok message.
I think there's like. Anyways, so a little bit of a sidetrack here, Obi. I listened to 102.1 The Edge on the way here in the morning.
Nice.
And they have this game. It's called the 7:30 game. Every morning at 7:30, they have a little competition where you can win some tickets to something. Anyways, aside from that, they have a game called Within 5. So they'll play like about 5 seconds of a song, and you have to guess it within 5 years of when that song was made. And I'm pretty good, so I'm
within 5 years of
when it was created, right? So I'm pretty good. So I think I'm gonna try continuously calling in and maybe participating in that game. So were you one of those types of individuals who would call radio stations and like,
I think I might have done it like once or twice.
Yeah.
But honestly, Like, I don't even remember the last time I was listening to radio.
Oh, really? I listen to it every morning.
Like, if I'm in my car, I'm on my phone. It's usually like either Spotify, Amazon Music, or just YouTube.
Sean, one time I called into TSN and I was talking to Michael Landsberg and Kolyakovo about the Leafs. Yeah, a while ago. And I was just bashing the Leafs. This was years ago, and they called me, and I just totally gave them my spiel. I can go on for a long time about that one. Intel back up to 57.89. Yes. The overall market continuing to grind higher here, guys, as we have the TQQQs right at the volume weighted average price and not really doing too much right now. So let's see what USO is going to be up to. A slight pullback. If it decides that it wants to recover, head back into towards the volume-weighted average price and then maybe continue on that northeast trajectory. But I just don't think that's going to necessarily be the case. I love those signals across the board. And Gaurav, man, we got to take advantage of those bad boys. When we see it on multiple underlyings, we have to hammer that trade. Tesla, it's unfortunate. I'm just avoiding this thing right now. Whoa, what was that? Meta going off right now here, guys, up to 609. Adair brought us that news not too long ago. I can pop up the headline once again as Meta is really starting to move 6% now, punching through the high of the day, 608 here on META. I mean, this is what you want. You're going to spend all this money. You want to see some form of product being launched from the superintelligence team. And that's what I was saying. I was looking forward to see what these guys can put together. And sure enough, the stock reacting in a positive way and liking it right now, all the way from a low of approximately $5.90 to $6.10. So that's $20 just like that within an intraday session here for META, let alone what happened last night and a strong recovery. We're going to get some more news. Adair, what do you have?
USO.
Well, I'll start here with saying that I have a little bit more details on this Meta model. It's called MuseSpark. It's proprietary and not open source, which is probably the biggest thing. This is from that new superintelligence labs team at Meta, led by the aforementioned Alexander Wang of Scale AI. Apparently, they built this over the last 9 months, and it was motivated, at least in part, by the disappointment of Llama 4. It's going to be rolled out to the Meta AI app, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, and Ray-Bans glasses. There will later be paid API access, but that is not ready yet. I'm also keeping an eye here on oil. I do want to let you guys know a couple more headlines. Unfortunately, in the Middle East, we've got an Israeli military announcement saying that they attacked a Hezbollah commander in Beirut, Lebanon. But then we also have Hezbollah coming out and saying that apparently Israel's attacks on Lebanon confirm their right to a response and to break the ceasefire. So I have comments from both Iran and Israel. Basically, they're going back and forth still. Just be aware, only bringing it up because it shows that the ceasefire does not appear to be on too much right now. Keep an eye on USO. Keep an eye on the market. And again, most recent message here, Iran saying, quote, "We're preparing heavy response to Israel's attack on Lebanon." Back to you.
Thanks. Adair, I actually wanted to bring this conversation back to Meta. So do you remember last year when we were talking about Mark Zuckerberg is just snatching talent left, right, and center, handing out all these massive contracts? And I was like, okay, I'm looking forward to seeing what these people are actually going to release. Do you think this is a little premature, or do you think maybe they rush it, or could they have something potentially of high quality, not like llama and avocado?
I mean, it's been a while, right? I feel like I'd like to think they've taken a long time to beat this, but then also the way this headline has been worded by certain sources. I know CNBC kind of said it. They're trying to catch up with like the situation here with Google. They're trying to catch up. So I feel like if you're being motivated purely by, like, I think it's one thing to be motivated by your own failures. Like Llama 4 didn't go well. I want to, outpace myself. I want to beat myself. That I think is fine. Being motivated because you want to catch up with your competitors, I think, I always think internal motivation is a bit better than external motivation. So if we are to believe the report and we're saying, okay, they were really speeding to do this because they wanted to outdo Llama 4, I think that's a noble cause. I think trying to do it just because they want to outperform Google and Gemini, I don't necessarily love that. And I know that seems like such a tiny thing, but I think your difference in motivation
don't you also
make a huge difference in your product.
Don't you think that's also such a massive leap as well too? Like the first product launch is like, okay, yeah, we're looking to compete once again with the Geminis and the GPTs of things.
I mean, I don't know. Here's the thing. Like, it's just reported as of right now, too, right? And they're waiting for the paid API aspect, so I think they're not entirely rushing to this. I want to wait and see. You guys know me. I don't like to speculate or make assumptions unless it's the research I've done on Oracle. We're going to have to wait and see what happens.
We actually have to see how this product operates first before you can make any, I guess, legitimate assumption. I
mean, I don't really use a lot of these platforms anymore.
Well, they unveiled it. I don't know. We can look to see if there's a date.
Is there a specific date of release? Because that would be
so it's launching new AI model, so it might be launched.
It's just a better version of their Meta AI, or
seems like it is launched, and again, it's called
exactly.
MuseSpark.
MuseSpark.
Yeah.
I mean, we can look it up live. How do we get access to this thing?
I mean, the bid is on Meta right now. It's like it's continuing. We just talked about it at 609s. We're pushing 614 high of day right now on Meta. So talk about a continuation. That held offer that I was talking about at 600, that breakout, that 4-minute hold, boom, 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 breakout, and then a breakout of that reaction high, breakout of the opening range high as well. Talk about everything you need for a potential continuation on expanding volume on this fresh news, right? So shout out to anybody who kind of caught that. We were just talking about it, and then the move actually happened. We got what is this? Over almost 2%. Yeah, we're pushing about 2% from some of those pullbacks that we got on the initial reaction. So yeah, brought to you here relatively fast, relatively first on that Meta news. They're still going on the day. So let me look back at it and see if there's any sort of levels here. Yeah, nothing too crazy. Still kind of pushing up into chop. Maybe last level that I'm seeing here, maybe in and around 630s on META. Only about $15 away from the high.
Yeah. I'm just reading a little bit more up on this MuseSpark here, guys. I mean, they're launched more or less along the lines of this agentic style of tool. It has health, text and reasoning, multi-model as well. So I'm just curious to see essentially what their objective here is. Essentially the first step towards a personal super intelligence. They understand world from analyzing your intermediate environment to supporting your wellness. The advantage reasoning capabilities of MuseSpark enable powerful, highly personal use cases. Okay, multi-model health leading into that. I mean, try Meta. I don't know if we want to click that try Meta AI, but aside from that, let's see what this thing is actually going to release. Your home bar, okay, so maybe it's one of the, you know, with the Google phones, it's just like you can show it a ppicture. I don't know if it's with other phones. It'd be like, hey, break
it's
this
called
down.
Google Vision or something.
Yeah. And then you'd be like, hey, where did I leave this? Maybe this is along the lines. Griner just giving you a breakdown of certain things. I remember do you remember during his last keynote, Chef Kuso, he was trying to get him to give him a recipe for all the ingredients that he had right there. Yeah, so it was everything laying on the table, and it didn't really go to plan. I think they were just moving it a little bit. And then the neural band, so the technology.
I mean, we've come so far, right? It's from the time you're talking about, like from when he was picking up all those hires, pretty much poaching from other companies there, to now. That's an awful lot of time, and other AI models have come such a long way. We're talking about like multiple updates every week for a few of them, and then now we have agentic AI as well, and that wasn't really as much of a thing when he was doing that. I'm curious to know whether or not they're actually going to be able to compete in an effective way. But this is I guess what people were looking for. People were kind of waiting for to happen, because the buyers in the market's definitely showing itself here. The sentiment taking precedent there on this large spike up. 617s now, continuation. Wow, talk about that. I'm going to be patient about this one. 617 now? 617s now, so straight up bid. Volume starting to fall off a little bit, but
compute efficient as well too. Okay. I think that's one of the big things here, considering this guy. Well, I mean, all the like compute power he had.
Okay, so efficiency in that.
Yeah, exactly. So efficiency within that, considering some of the other names they were referring to, DeepSeek, Kimi, and Llama 4, not nearly as efficient as this MuseSpark texting scale ladder. So, I mean, interesting stuff. If anybody is one of the big Meta, I guess, users, this thing is really going right now. 616 and continuing to climb. It doesn't look like it's going to slow down anytime soon. We took a little bit more off on IBIT, guys. as we're only holding about 10% left here to see if we can get a move back in towards the volume-weighted average price. That's going to put us around 58. The way the market's currently moving, if you get a strong uptick, then I think we'll be able to get that. But we also have to be cautious and be prepared to get out a little early just in case we do get some strong sellers or a volatile headline in here that's going to send the market back towards the downside, and anything can happen. We remember how we put that poll out yesterday, Obi? We were like, hey, how many more volatility spikes in the day do you think we're gonna get? I mean, essentially, we surpassed the 4+ by the end of the day. There it is, 617 and continuing to climb. This is a half an hour, almost 20 minutes of just straight buying here on META. This thing is going absolutely beast mode, Obi, in a big time recovery in Meta. And I think this stock was a little bit oversold, considering Mark Zuckerberg's still spending a lot of money. At least we're starting to get some products to hit. And I think that's what the street is essentially looking for. It's like, hey, when are we going to start to see some form of an ROI? Are you guys going to put out a quality product in? When is it going to be launched? Spending all that money on all the engineers. Right. Eventually you want to see something come out the other end.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think we'll all be a little curious to see how the product is. But as of right now, I was talking about maybe lowered volume, but we got even more volume there as we push closer to 619, 620s there on META. To be honest with you guys, I'm waiting for this one, for those buyers to kind of cool off here potentially, but the long was definitely not wrong. The long was the trade to have. Look at this hold of trend with still the volume bars are increasing on this one. So absolutely crazy move here on Meta. I saw some people in the chat talking about Palantir breaking through its day low on some increasing volume as well. So talk about a continuation, and Tesla's doing something similar here where it's pulling right back in to that day low, but let's see if it breaks it. Palantir was the first one to kind of do it. Market still consolidating here over the past, I guess, 2 15-minute candles with only about 5 minutes left to finish printing this one. So we'll wait and see how that potentially happens. USO caught a bit of a bid on some of that news Adair reported on earlier, pushed up through those 22s. We talked about that hold of that anchored VWAP in and around here at 121.5. That's doing well for a potential continuation. I'm curious to know whether or not we get that bid right back up from these low 120s. I think that below 120 was pretty decent if you were looking to kind of catch some of that falling knife, as it pulled back into prior range levels there, and it seems like we're catching more of a continuation now on USO off of that prior range. So I like the look there. Don't know if we're going to continue any higher, but if we're going to do more of the same that we have been doing in this range, the last time we were here, sure, we might be taking a 2-week break, but every aggressive dip has been bought up. Yesterday, you know, it was.
What's up, Fabian?
What's up, Fabian? Yesterday it was just getting bought up off VWAP, and then we got that sentiment change, or potential for sentiment change, and we got that aggressive move in all sorts of markets overnight. But maybe going with how things are going today, that sentiment might be shifting back towards exactly what it was coming into the day yesterday. So we'll wait and see what happens.
Hoorah. All right, man. All right, Bravely, it's your time to shine, my boy. We're gonna call out some people. All right, we're gonna go. Sorry, my friend. We're going to go to Adair, and then Bravely, your time to shine. Let's shout out some people from TikTok. Make sure you guys join us on that platform as well. Like and subscribe, guys. Adair.
Shout out to TikTok, and thank you for joining us wherever you are joining us from, whatever platform. I do want to mention kind of a minor thing here, but keep an eye on MSFT. Semaphore reporting that Microsoft is saying their AI voice command needs more work. So be aware, we do have MSFT on watch. Also, I have more reports here coming from the Middle East. Just be aware that we now have the president of Iran, Pezeshkian, saying that apparently he said to the Prime Minister of Pakistan that a ceasefire in Lebanon is vital for the 10-point agreement with the U.S. So basically they're saying this ceasefire, 2-week ceasefire isn't good enough. They need a ceasefire in Lebanon as well. Again, this is being reported by Iranian state media citing the president of Iran. Back to you.
All right, Bravely. Let's do a couple of TikTok shoutouts here, guys. We have Joe. What's up, Joe? He's in the chat. XRP 10K, Danter. We got a couple more names here. Give some more shout outs, guys. We got Garfield, Buckley, Drake, Enthusiast, Bravely in there, AG Home, Anas Showman, what's going on there? We have some more. C. Costa, Irfan Alam, Soji, Summer, Tina Man, the guys. So I said, why aren't you at the gym, my boy? Oh, okay, all right. Are you though? No, are you really though? Yeah. All right, I trust you. Stay Driven, HVAC Pro, Cheer Mute, C-Tray, Crew Up. Well, I mean, that's right, I believe him this time. Sean said he's doing his taxes. I don't believe that he's actually doing his taxes. He's probably trading.
Oh, you need another cappuccino there? What do you got over there?
Espresso? Yeah. What's the difference between an espresso and a macchiato?
The crema.
The foam?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. See, I'm new to the caffeine game. Forza, what's going on? Pero, Colocho, what's up? Good, man. And Steven Jackson, all joining us there at TikTok. Thank you guys for joining us here today. We had that IBIT trade. We have OB in the Intel short. We were taking some scalps on AIXI, the shorts on AAL as well too, and then the market finding somewhat of a recovery. So not too horrible of a session. I'm glad that we're starting to see the market rebound, and I think a lot of people, it was a good day for a lot of the long-term accounts, that's for sure, but I mean, we're not completely where we were before, obviously. A lot of the Mag 7s still down double digits off of their highs, and that can be a little worrisome. Once this thing starts to cool over, which we're starting to head into that realm, I believe, is ceasefire. That gives them a little bit more time to get these talks and everybody kind of get on the same page. And then sure enough, we can get that straight open. We get oil flowing once again. And I think we'll see a little bit of a market rally here, Obi.
Yeah, no, someone, Bastone in the chat saying, should we trust this rally? Hey, man, yeah, sometimes I feel that way as well. Sometimes these bids or these sells come in and I'm like, do I really trust this? You know, especially when you sit there and you watch some of this action every single day, some of the stuff just looks a little, you know, kind of, out of the ordinary, but even then, man, you just have to remember, you just gotta, what's the trade plan? Trade your trade plan, and it is what it is. Like, who cares? It could just. Here's something that you know, I read a very long time ago, and it only takes one participant. It only takes one trader. Someone could just be doing some business. It could be a large participant that might be able to move markets on the day. And sometimes we see that. We look at a chart and we're just like, there's a buyer on this stock, or there's a seller on this stock on the day, and it might even be disconnected from the rest of the market. I actually like that and use that as a factor of confluence for some of my ideas, especially for reversions, because I'm like, if I think a buyer or a seller is unusual, I definitely want to be there when they are done transacting, especially if it's disconnected with the rest of the market. So I think in that sense, it makes, in my opinion, it makes the reversion even better, because it's an unusual participant, unusual buyer, unusual seller, and when they lift or when they fall off, then you know, there might be some opportunity potentially there as well here. But yeah, let me know in the chat, what are you guys watching? What are you guys trading? Market hasn't really done much for the past 3 15-minute candles. You can see just sideways chop, sideways consolidation there. At the same time, we got Rhythm T.
Rhythm
Super
trader.
Chat, Rhythm Trader,
yeah, come on,
saying appreciate you guys
on that.
turn my day green with a quick slap on Meta. Yeah, nice, great trade. That's definitely 100% in play as of right now. So shout out to your Meta trade. Is it still going? Wow, it's still going.
No,
622.
No way.
622s. What are we doing?
Wow, what are we doing is a great question. But it's like, dude, in all reality, how do we continuously, like, how do you get in? Where do you get in? Because when you see those volatility spikes, it's just like, okay, wait for the pullback, but there was none. Look at it, these are just breaths, essentially. It's like, okay, cool, 3-bar plays, essentially, across the board. You can classify it as an ABCD pattern, and then off to the races you go, now establishing 623. Like, this thing's up $30 off the highs. That's insane here on META. So, I mean, maybe the street really liking it. I think that's the case. You can see it reflected within the price action, so not too bad of a look. But I don't know, man. I just find it so difficult to just buy it off of the volatility spike. I mean, here you can get involved at $600, but who's looking at it? Because the volume steps in a little bit after that, and then off to the races it goes. But KT for the win. Let's break this down, because I think this is a really good question. And by all means, right? Like, I think we can just have a little conversation about it and what we could potentially do here in Bitcoin. Let's head over to the higher day. So you're like, hey, Joe, is this a good time to sell covered calls? I'm going to be honest with you, like, I would think about the opposite. I think now would be the time to buy CSPs. Why? Because what if we start to find a rebound, you find a conclusion to the conflict in the Middle East, and then the market decides to go on an additional 3 or 4% rally in the next coming weeks, right? And you have these covered calls, say they're even all the way up here. How much are you going to be collecting in a further date? And if that does happen, then it's like, oh, okay, that wasn't too good of a time. The short calls essentially double, triple, whatever it is. If you don't have a stop, then you're having a really bad time. Or we can look at it like this. Here we know where we're exactly wrong, and I don't think there's as much free room for it to run. So if you're thinking about the CSP, like I understand you're going covered call, you have the shares, you're looking to collect a little bit of the premium, but why not think about going the inverse of that and using a base as your out? Because if something positive does happen, then you're going to be on the right side of it. Now, obviously, you can look at the inverse of that as well, too, and be like, hey, well, what if a negative news comes out and we decide to tank? Well, that's good because we essentially have, we know where we're wrong at the break of this structure. You can know where you're wrong here on the top side as well as you breach this trend, because you can see we almost have 3 key points in which we're looking to use as a potential trend break, and I personally will be looking to engage in. I just think it's going to take a little bit longer than what we're expecting here with Bitcoin. Covered calls, just be prepared for any form of rip, and we know that can happen with Bitcoin at any given moment. And KT, I'm just like, we're game planning, thinking out loud, and just putting multiple factors in possible scenarios essentially in our notes and in our brainstorming to be like, hey, what can happen and what will happen, and how can we take advantage of these things? Hopefully that helped you. There goes AIXI, Obi, starting to rebound. I wanted to re-engage at 36, but I was like, ooh, we have to be cautious in case this thing started to break down. We're all out of IBIT off of the lows of 18s or 20s there, 40 20s. We get all the way up to 40 52s, and then sure enough, the AIXI trade was a really good one there.
Yeah, I think there's a thing here that says the Israeli Prime Minister is to give remarks at 1:15 Eastern Time. So just about roughly 40-50 minutes away from that. That could be interesting as well. Got to watch these markets. USO just kind of chop sideways here within that range. We talked about that 123 not being able to push through since about 10:30. We've pulled back a little bit here, holding the anchored VWAP from last night's session there, and just chopping sideways, pretty much within that range right now. Intel continues to slow and steady, just grind up higher here. On the day, so is the market. The market tailwind is definitely not on my side when it comes to the short position here, as the market continues to pull up even higher. Now breaking past that 25,100 mark. Here goes the ES as well, pushing that 68.20 at the same time. So decent continuation. First strong sign of pullback here on Meta. Is this it? Is this the time where, you know, maybe we get a bit of relief here on Meta? We made a high of 623.67s here and currently trading at 620.38s. But first little pullback, maybe second pullback technically right here. The first pullback was down here below that 600 mark, and then this is the second pullback right here into 620s, almost, you know, what is that, 4% later. So crazy move there on Meta. Is it too far too gone? Are we going to get that rubber band effect? Those are the questions that I'm asking here at the same time. Tesla's strong support at 345, saying DJ Reese. Okay, let's take a quick look at TSLA. Is that support? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. The thing is, it's only bounced off it twice, and we couldn't even get back up to VWAP, and now we're making somewhat of a lower high right now. If this breaks this high at 350s, then yeah, maybe I like that a little bit better for the idea of this being a decent support. But as of right now, sure, we've bounced off of that 345 area pretty decently twice now. So good look there. We'll continue watching that one. And see if that actually comes into fruition here. A bit of a spike there on USO happening. Don't know if there's anything too crazy, but not an aggressive spike. Not the same kind of spikes that we've been seeing on any sort of news over the past few weeks, but bit of a push off of that 122 as of right now. There, Joe, what do you got going on?
Same thing, man. We'll wait for our next opportunity. We're not in anything right now. IBIT worked for us, AAL not too long ago, and then a slight move on AIXI. I believe we have Luis coming up in approximately 20 minutes, so we're going to talk about some more small caps and what was running for him today. We can head over to our small cap scanner as well. NVTS is really, really moving here. We were looking at this thing at the volume weighted average price, and this has gone on a substantial move here on NVTS here, Semiconductor. That's a really, really strong move. But then also look at this, Gorev. Ooh. But do we want to go against the grain on such a strong name? There is a little bit of buying pressure. We would like that to close as a complete hammer all the way up at the high. So it's still not a it's still not a bad look. What's the detail telling us here on the lower time frame? When we look at the detailing in things, it's more or less the 1 minute. And I think it's important. If you have it correlating on both of the time frames, then that gives a little bit more conviction and putting a little bit more probability in your favor. CUI, CU, not doing too much. Out of the gate, it was strong. And I was looking at some of these other names, AXTI. Now we're starting to see some more volume step into them. What was that one that we were looking at not too long? Was it CYCU?
CYCN.
Was it CYCN? Okay, so this is a different one. Why isn't it up here? It's very, very glitchy. Sometimes I'll point some good things out. Mask was another thing I had my eye on this morning. AXTI, a little bit more expensive in the $55 range. VDTA. We only care about the volume, man. We don't care about anything else. Give us the largest amounts of volume here. CYCU, NVTS, Mask, AXTI, AEHR. Okay, that's not horrible either. That's a nice print along those highs. You'd probably have to order shorts for something along these lines. Anything else? No, nothing really has a figure also as well, breaking through the volume weighted average price. I think this is a pretty good play. What is it? NVTS as well. That was a good one. Yeah, man, continuing to climb a little bit higher. I wonder if we have to order shorts for this bad boy. But I think it's just too strong right now. OB97. If it breaches through that previous pivot, then maybe it's not going to be a move, or the consolidation before you get somewhat of a pullback, it's going to take a little bit longer. So you form a base around the highs, and then sure enough, maybe you can get a secondary trend play where it just has somewhat of a pullback. If you're fortunate enough to get into this pre-market wick high, and then it gets a continuation, look for a rebound, couple bars print, and maybe cover a little bit more on NVTS. But NVDA continuing to climb, the SPY still grinding higher, the NASDAQ still moving higher as well too. Oracle started to break its downtrend, says Gorev. Haven't looked at Oracle in quite some time. I know Sean was trading it this morning. How's it doing? Oh, T-Mobile looking pretty good right at VWAP. The communication sector, couple upgrades, couple downgrades this morning, so keep an eye out on that. And they've been performing. I was talking about it last week. It was actually kind of a sector of strength as well. Long Uber. Tina, man, don't tempt me with a good time, brother. Let's see what we got. I thought you were supposed to be doing your taxes. All right.
Multitasking.
Yeah, multitask. Yeah. All right. Just making sure. He's long Uber off of these lows. What do you got there? 73.10s, Katina, man? 73.12s. Okay, so not too far off. Nice little play right there from Sean himself. Half doing taxes, half in Uber. All right, so we've got to watch that guy. When you say he's doing the taxes, it takes a little bit of time. But aside from that, Tesla hasn't been strong. Look where the market is sitting, and then look what Tesla's been doing. It can't even crawl back towards the volume-weighted average price. So essentially, if you're looking for an extremely weak underlying, and if the selling pressure steps back into the market, maybe you'll get some more downside in Tesla.
Yeah, I think definitely got to watch out for that one. It's so relatively weak on the day, right? No bounces at all. And guess what? We got up to 625s here on Meta, so still continuing a little bit of a pullback, a little bit of a slowdown. But those buyers are still pretty relentless, and you can see the market tailwind definitely helping out on that bid there on TSLA. So I'm gonna watch that one. I'm gonna hop out of this intel here. I definitely got into an area where I do want to maybe reassess a little bit there. We'll wait and see if that potentially catches any sort of selling. But with the market doing this aggressive move here now, I don't want to hold too far against me there. Also coming into area of stop within about 15, 20 pennies there. So I'll reassess in a bit. But Meta. might be the next one here as, yeah, we did break up 625s. Let's pull this one up and take a look at some of these levels. First and foremost, I do want to throw on a bit of an anchored VWAP. It almost seems like somebody knew down here there was maybe some buying and the holding of a bid here all the way from, what is this, 1140-ish. So yeah, interesting stuff there on Meta, but we are way extended off of any sort of anchored VWAP there. Maybe we throw on a moving average here. Let's just go EMA right here, exponential, boom, right there, and that gives us maybe a little bit better of an indication of the hold of trend that we've been seeing, right? Kind of pulls back into that 9 EMA and then bids right back above on META. So it's not over. These buyers are still very much here, and it's been over, what last time I measured it was over 4% of a move, and we're pulling back up into some prior levels. So we'll go back in time and see where we're actually pulling up against. Take a look at this. The first level that does pop out for me, multiple tests of this area right here. 630, 629, 631, 630, 630s once again. So, and then that support turned into resistance here in the middle of March 16th and March 17th. So that's the level that we're pulling up into, not that far away, only about $5 away from there on Meta. So we'll wait and see. Wow, there you go. There's a little bit of selling happening there on Intel. Funny enough, yeah, just waiting for me to punch out of the position to get in. GG's.
You didn't know that, bro?
No, of course. That's how it happens, right? That's how it usually goes. That's how it usually goes. They're watching. You know, it's funny. I was reading about this one trader who basically, he doesn't study the market. He studies other traders, and he studies how often they win or they lose, and then he plays that instead of just instead of studying the market. And that's, I guess that's one way.
That?
What's that?
How do you do that?
I mean, okay, so for example, say in a theoretical scenario, you have traders that are trading live.
Okay, so he's going on
and
YouTube
you track those traders that are trading live, and you actually do a meticulous, study of like win rates and like what certain moods are, or whatever, certain behaviors of execution, and then do an analysis of how often do they win or they lose when that's happening. Boom. You have your stats, and then you can just be like, all right, I either want to participate or I want to counter this player. And it's a PvP game, right? And this player has made a decent fortune doing exactly that. And yeah, that's an old tactic, saying Racer X9. Yeah, exactly. It's an old tactic, and you always need someone to kind of be on the other end of that to. What do you call it? Make that a fruitful task there. So yeah, no, it's there's so many different ways to trade. You don't necessarily have to study the market. You can just study other players and see how their mindset is as well. And I like doing that as well. When we talk about like trade reviews and doing them in a group, really kind of is educational to figure out how other people are thinking, how they're executing, what they're doing. Thank you, Joe, the guy with the dough. Obi, SoFi named #1 bank in the United States. Really, is it?
This is actually true.
Okay.
From UBS. I saw this headline. I did not think too much of it because it was posted by an account that made me think it was kind of pumpish. But either way, this headline, whether or not we agree with it, is actually not a lie.
Okay. All right. No, thank you very much. So decent relative volume on this one, on the gap up today, but guess what? Seller dominant for majority of the morning session. Sideways action from 11 p.m. and onwards here on SoFi. So maybe poised for a bit of a bounce here on the day. Yeah, some people are saying that Cramer fade the Jim Cramer. Yeah, that was another thing as well, right? They literally made an ETF way too late when it actually stopped working, called S-Jim, and that didn't last very long because short Jim Cramer, but he would call out certain things and it would go the opposite way. Of course, that didn't last forever either, right? So it really depends on if you're keeping those stats, you're tracking those stats, and really observing how different players operate, right? So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, You just buy the Nancy Pelosi ETF or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, people do that as well. Like they follow the cabinet members as well. But what was her last? The last one that I noticed that didn't do too well was TEM. I think this was one of her picks, one of her additions to the portfolio. And just looking at, let's just go straight up to a monthly here.
Is that the Nancy?
Yeah, Tempest AI. Look at this, chop, 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 chop. So, sure, it's still
Is that
holding.
who she's involved in?
I think one of the names. I don't know. Last I heard, she was maybe she sold, but who knows?
I could still.
Yeah, so it's definitely a strategy there. Wow, there goes a strong bid there.
Look at Meta
on Intel, 120 what?
126 on Meta, dude.
Yeah. Still pushing higher on the day.
Somebody said, Joe, I want to start selling some vertical spreads and how to find an indicator stock to begin with. Diamond hands. You still in that? Say Uber. So Uber along with Katina Man and taxes. So double win over there. We'll hit the stone cold for our boy. Aside from that, the question asked here: what stock or indicator to begin with? I've been mostly followed tech stocks. I mean, there's no specific indicator. I really only use a couple. That's price. That's the tape. And if I had the option to do so, which I think, in my opinion, the Camarilla pivot points, considering they're preset and they're not subjective like Fibonacci's or anything along those lines.
Fibonacci's?
Yeah, exactly. And
I've heard about those pivots. I mean,
Fibonacci's.
Honestly, they're all a lot of those are very similar. To me, even the Camarilla pivots are kind of, it's quite.
I use them. It's identical except for you with the Fibonacci's. You have to set the lines yourself. You have to anchor it yourself.
Yeah.
There's none of that with the cams. They're actually preset every morning, right? Calculated off. And honestly, like if I don't, again, moving averages, whatever, to each their own. If you can build a system off of it, then by all means continue to do so.
There could be a trader out there who's making 6, 7, 8 figures off of the pivots, right? I have no idea.
Or even anything else. I mean, at the end of the day, some people use Bollingers. Like, by all means, if you feel that it works and it gives you a little bit of edge, continue to do so. There's so many out there. And in trading, also never really, and everything isn't 100% all the time. Also includes which data for the safer trades is beginner 20 to 30 delta. Okay, that's a great question. So when it comes to writing, so you're looking about selling things. So you're talking about writing bear call spreads and bull put spreads. You want to stick with the more liquid assets. Liquidity is obviously going to be a key metric. And I like that you also brought up the delta. It depends on your objective. If you're okay with that, for me, I would particularly use the 10 delta. Like when I was writing a lot, I would use 10 delta all the time. I would spread it. So I'd buy it 5 strikes higher. I'd short 5 strikes lower, purchase that, sell that contract, buy something higher. We'll get back to it. We'll talk a little bit more about this once we get back from Adair.
This is kind of minor, but interesting headline here for a company that has been in the headlines a lot, or at least was like a month or so ago. That's Paramount Skydance, PSKY. So you guys know me. I already did a deep dive into it, but I'll start with the headline and then I'll tell you why it's kind of interesting. Headline here is that Jeff Shell has resigned as president and board member of Paramount Skydance. So you know me. I go, who is Jeff Shell? Jeff Shell is an American media exec, former CEO of NBC Universal. He was ousted and actually fired from NBC Universal. Then in March of 2026, while he was president and board member of Paramount Skydance, he was sued for $150 million. And as a result of that lawsuit, he has now left Paramount Skydance. So again, PSKY, look, we've got the ouster here of a president and board member. If I get more details, I'll let you know. Not much of a stock move here, but interesting stuff, I think, especially with that Warner Brothers merger happening here with PSKY.
For that, Adair. Okay, back to this. I'll finish it up quickly before we send it back to Obi. He's back in some intel here, looking for that move lower. So essentially, it depends, right? So you have to be prepared and accept the fact that when you're writing these vertical spreads, the chances are you have to take like 7, 8, like 5, 6, 7, 8 of these contracts, but don't expect to have like these outstanding gains. That's not the objective of vertical spreads, in my opinion. It's more or less to create that passive income to top off your month. And that's where I found the most success personally. It's not you're having those massive months or anything along those lines. It's a nice steady, okay, let's look to make an extra 150 bucks, 200 bucks a week, and then that adds on top of your month. And that's when you get that nice, steady, sloping equity curve. You also have to be extremely cautious and make sure you have those stops in place. But that's what I think unless you have the ability to buy cash secured puts or sell naked calls, which are dangerous as well, you have to be prepared that you're only going to have essentially modest gains unless you have an extreme amount of capital. It takes a little bit more than actually buying the contracts to put on a lot of size when you're writing, and you also have to be prepared for that. So see ya, Kahlua. But it's really good, to be honest with you. And I think regardless of the couple of hits that I've taken in writing options, that's when I've had the most steady just uptrends when I was at home, just continuously writing, setting up my weeklies. You don't want to force it, but it's a good little top up on your month. And I'll get back into writing eventually, but right now I'm just going to be a little bit more patient in the account, top up the account so we can start putting on a couple of positions. So there's some names that I really want to go heavy on here. Leading after the war is done potentially and in the coming months for recovery and then a potential new all-time high. So it's not bad stuff. Writing takes up capital and it also takes up significant amount of time. Yeah,
and definitely. Also, you want to talk about opportunity cost as well when your money's kind of hung up elsewhere. As well, but soon we'll be getting the zero DTEs here at Trader TV. So I think we're going to be doing a decent amount of. I don't know about writing options, but I don't think you'll be able to buying puts and buying calls. Yeah, as well. So
I don't think you'll be able to write.
No, I think it's a little bit different. Figuring out a risk management program for that side of the game, but you have a fixed amount of loss there when you're buying calls and puts, and so hopefully soon we see some of that here as well. Zero DTEs, that's going to be exciting as well. But someone once told me,
it's only going to be zero DTEs, or do you think that you just?
There's no way you're going to be.
But that doesn't mean it's the same thing as equity, right? Like you can still get you can buy some
Friday's expiries or
it doesn't even matter. You can buy a month out and you can still essentially get out of it. I don't know, because if you're limiting it to zero DTE, right now on the Mag 7 you have it, they've just implemented every 2 days, but if it's zero DTE, to trade the majority of the names, you would have to wait every other day to trade them unless it's the NASDAQ or the SPY where you have actual zero DTEs.
Yeah.
So I think
they're going to be mainly on the larger names.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I mean,
mainly on the Mag 7s, the SPYs, and the Qs and stuff like that. I think zero DTs were kind of a thing when I first started at the floor. I didn't really dabble into them too much, but as I told you before, when I was trading a little bit of options, I mainly base it off of the charts on said options there and just taking scalps off intraday. But one of my mentors, they were just like, if you want to trade options for some of these names, maybe first learn how to trade these large caps and trade the SPYs and the Qs before you get good at the options, because it's always that's how some other firms do it as well, right? When you they want to see that you can actually do the equities before they move you on to the option set as well.
Sorry, repeat that. What do you do before? What are you in before they bring you
equities?
To equities? Oh, okay. There goes a mark.
Yeah.
So so learn equities before you get into options? Yeah. I agree with that one. Most long. What about a long in TSLA? I mean, the market's still going. I think it's just a weaker name. Why pick one of the weakest Mag 7 to go long when there's other opportunities? And you can see that the NASDAQ is now clearly above the volume weighted average price. Some of the other names are starting to participate a little bit more than what we're seeing here. I know it's at 630, man. This thing is really running, opposed to what we have, a lagging name. Like, why is it lagging? Why are other ones north of? I honestly would have thought that Meta's move higher here would have dragged the Qs a little bit higher and more aggressively. More aggressively is essentially the word that I should say.
Meta's not that. It is a larger constituent of the Mag 7, but it doesn't really compete anywhere near that of like say like an NVIDIA or like Google as well. I mean, let's take a quick look here. I haven't done this in a while, but a website that I like to use here is Slick Charts. And it gives you the real-time constituent breakdown of both these markets. So you kind of just go slickcharts.com. We'll go to the NASDAQ 100. We'll go to companies right here, and boom, right here, it'll give you the weighting, right? So NVIDIA coming in at 13.25%, Apple coming in at 11.4%, Softy at 8.44%, Amazon 7.17%. Both alphabets combined, Class A and Class B, coming to about 11.5%. Broadcom coming less than 5%. Then it's Meta at 4.78%. And then it's Tesla at 3.92. So when you're looking at some of these large caps and being like, why is this moving, but these are not moving, you have to remember, first of all, how the weighting stands. And you can also have a day where, yeah, the Mag 7, where Meta technically, as of right now, is not in that bracket. It's AVGO alongside the Mag 7, and it's more like Mag 6 because Google takes up both these spots. But yeah, if you don't want to count that, both Meta and Tesla kind of fighting that seventh place spot. AVGO's up there as well. Walmart, surprisingly, is up there as well, coming in at 10th place. But sometimes what happens is that a lot of these tech names, they're going to be doing one thing, but the market can be lifted up and held up by literally the rest of the names. Right? There's so many other names here in the NASDAQ. And then when we go to the S&P 500, look at the companies here, you'll have a similar breakdown. Meta coming in at 8th place. So the Meta is kind of in that Mag 7 area here as well. But AVGO surpassing Meta on this scale at the same time. So Tesla kind of maybe getting kicked out of that Mag 7, bracket. But we know the Mag 7 is the Mag 7, but just note that AVGO's up in there.
I think it was the Mag 7 because they're all $1 trillion market cap.
Something like that,
right? Now we have more names that have participated in that.
So the futures are market cap weighted, right? So it's just the higher the market caps of these go, you'll see them move up in place there. And we saw the come up of NVIDIA just over the past few years. NVIDIA was not necessarily all the way up at number 1. Right? We had Apple and Softy fighting it out for a little bit as well, and then NVIDIA, boom, just blew past them all pretty aggressively. So yeah, the breakdown on the S&P 500. So that's something that I like to consider as well. Even during some of my morning scans, I make sure to understand and know what most of the main constituents, even some of those ones lower down in the list. I just take a look at the top 50 to 100 stocks in both markets in the morning just to be like, all right, cool, where are we really standing? Who's strong? What's strong? What sectors may or may not be moving around as well. But yeah, it is. That's a quick little gist of the breakdown here.
All right, yeah. So I'm looking. Okay, if we continue to climb higher, I was thinking I like this print on the 5-minute in IBIT. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be time. If we start to curl over, start to form a resistance zone, there is a pre-market supply zone here as well. You can see, I don't know if we're going to classify this necessarily as a whipsaw move considering how lengthy it is, but as long as we don't break this 66 mark, I think there could be a good opportunity for a little bit of a move down. The market's been on quite a run. Meta putting in a nice indecision print off the highs as well too. OB around that 630 mark, a nice inverted hammer. And I mean, I think the sellers are still there, more or less, them stepping out and then not necessarily buyers stepping in, cover rally possibly, but I want to take an opportunity here on Bitcoin for a move lower. Maybe you get it back into 40, 50s or something along those lines, and if we're fortunate enough to participate in taking that, I can enter at any given moment. Let's see if we break that zone that we're talking about. We also have to take into consideration that we're almost at opening price here on the SPY. No, opening price is over here at 766, and the exact same thing. We're almost at OP 608 on the NASDAQ. So slowly grinding. That's a positive sign, a big time recovery. I thought we would see a little bit of a pullback. I didn't know if the strength was within the market for us to just essentially gap and go here. Were you trading Blue Ocean last night, Obi?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right on, right on. Yeah, I was keeping an eye on it. USO was looking pretty good. Obviously, the TQQs overnight as well. But it was really in the post market when things started rocking and rolling as the market is continuously grinding.
Yeah, it came out like 2 hours earlier. I was kind of
yeah, exactly. Around like 6 o'clock or so.
Yeah, so I was expecting things to happen closer to 8, and I was like, okay, Blue Ocean might be nice, which it was. It wasn't crazy, but it wasn't necessarily what I was specifically looking for, right?
Yeah.
And the move kind of happens late into the after hours. But you know, I did on Twitter. There's some dope traders that did catch that move late night, and yeah, kind of both on both futures, maybe some oil as well. And I don't know if their intention was to carry it through into today. But that wouldn't have been too bad either.
Yeah, no, not at all. Man, this thing is so strong. Keep looking over here at Meta. Let's pull up, see if we see anything else. So it's just a lot of major tests of the company's ambitions. Meta Platform announced a new large model. We've gone over this. MuseSpark and what it's essentially called. So looking to compete and catch up with Anthropic, Google, DeepMind, and OpenAI, the leading labs that put out models at accelerating pace. That's what I was referring to when we were talking to Adair about it. So 9 months ago, these guys put something together, classifying it as superintelligence with the superintelligence lab with the goal of putting personal superintelligence in everyone's hand. Meta Chief Executive Mark Zuckerberg said in a post on the company's Threads app. Yeah, so maybe let's see, man. I mean, he has how many users on Instagram? I think he has a great customer base that he can essentially try to capture, but things haven't been going his way so far, Adair.
Some Microsoft turnover on watch. I am seeing reports suggesting that an individual by the name of Julia Luzon has resigned from Microsoft. This is being reported by The Verge. Here she is. Now, she served as the developer division chief of Microsoft, a company that she has been at since 1992. So again, this individual, Microsoft president and executive who has served at the company since 1992, is reportedly stepping down. Not a massive move here for the stock, but just be aware here again. Julia Liu-san reportedly leaving MSFT after over 30 years. Do be sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. Also, because it's after 1 p.m., we are expecting at any moment now a press briefing from White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. On the schedule, it says they start at 1 p.m. She starts like a lot closer to 1:30, generally speaking. Either way, I'll cover it for you guys. Back to you.
Yeah, Racer X9 would be a fantastic time if you can identify one. Right? And I think that's what's helping this stock move a little bit higher and faster than what it is that there's really no substantial size or a massive supply zone that you have to run in and break through. That's why it may be just essentially on a free roll right now and continuing to climb higher and higher as the day goes on. So nothing substantially. You can see how modest essentially the size is in the open interest. You already have some things that are underwater, 6,000 contracts right here. And I don't think that's going to cause too much. I think that can be absorbed. So with that being said, Meta definitely has some more room to climb, which it's currently doing right now, Obi.
Yeah, still holding. I did get involved a little bit here as it couldn't get through that 630. We'll wait and see. Some slowdown, some sideways action, maybe a distinct difference. Market taking a little bit of a pullback here as well off that 25,150 at the same time. So some confluence there for some slowdown of those buyers. And it seems like it's working as of right now. But with the way Meta moves, I do have to give it a decent amount of space here for some of those moves. But the market is pulling back a little bit here with about 9 minutes left on this 15-minute candle. Adair?
Keep an eye here on ASAN spiking to the upside in a partnership with Anthropic's Claude. Anthropic saying that Asana used their managed agents to add advanced features dramatically faster than they would have been able to otherwise. So again, Anthropic apparently touting its partnership with ASAN specifically as it relates to Claude. Back to you.
Yeah, so the market is starting to pull back a little bit here, guys. Good patience on this one. Nice uptick, maybe a little bit of a fake out or a liquidity grab. If we head lower, then we'll be looking forward to participate. We're ready whenever you are, Assassino, my friend.
Hey, he's here.
Hey, Luis, what's going on, brother? How's everything? First things first, I hope you had a fantastic session. A lot of interesting names over the past couple of days. And essentially the one that I'm going to be referring to, and I was talking to you in the chat yesterday, let's get right into things. AIXI, multiple 200+% days, Monday and Tuesday, but slightly negative here this morning. Talk to us a little bit about this name.
Yeah, as you said, it's a multi-day break. We had this huge break, first day moving up like very, very sharp with 1.2 billion shares traded this day, ran from 0.2030s to over the dollar after market. And yesterday we have this high of our pre-market break and all the way up with halts and all this thing. No? Today is different. We're looking for the first red day. We were looking for shorts against these pre-market highs. You can short it here. You have a very, very tight stop. You can add all the way down on the backside. And after the open, you have several points where your thesis is confirmed or in question, you know, and it's always below the VWAP. It's always almost below the open, so it's very nice if you short it here. And if you miss this trade because it was pre-market and because you're not confident enough with the volume and so on, just wait for the VWAP rejection. Look at this pump from 110s, 120 to 160. You short there against the VWAP, and you have a very nice run as well.
Fantastic stuff. All right. My next question being, we talked about this last week a little bit. It's a two-part question. First things first. So we know that on Monday and on Tuesday we had multiple volatility halts. Does that probability decrease as you get further along in this run? So like day 3, you're less likely to see a volatility halt?
Well, sometimes it's about the price. You know, if they are what we call in a hold fest because the stock has closed below 70 cents or 75 cents, I think is the regulation. If it has closed below the 70 cents, it is what we call a halt fest. So that means it will halt every time it moves 10% or 15 cents movement. So there you have halts all the way. If the stock is moving up the next day, it's less likely that it will halt, of course. But if you had the volatility, and we have in the P-Pro this layout that you can see where it's going to halt. So you can be aware if you are going in a short or in a long and you had the halt bands very close, be careful with that.
Absolutely. So that's going to lead to the second part of my question. So we have multiple days of volatility halts. Today, relatively cooler. I don't think you're going to see that within the price action unless a large participant steps in. Do you base data and do you collect data, say, hey, we've had 2 extremely strong days, and the further we get along, the more probability of it essentially starting to display a short trade?
Yeah, we use what we call the cycles of the small caps. So we measure, I can show you, let me see if it loads pretty fast. We can see here on the market analysis, we can check how many gap up we have for weeks or for months or whatever. So you go gappers, you put some filters on, and you collect the weekly data. We collect this since 2020. And here you can see how many gap up we have, and from those gap up, how many red close and how many are runners. We call runners the gap up that keep going up during the day. Let's say that would be what Sheriff likes, right? A gap up that holds and keep going up. So for the last weeks, as you can see, we are having a decrease of number of gap up, right? But on the other side, there is a lot of volume in the last couple of weeks, and the red close probability is started to go up. So less gap up for the last few weeks, but higher red close probability. So that gives us a confidence to go more short side for the last couple of weeks or 3 weeks.
All right, thank you very much there, Luis. So I've kind of somewhat of a similar question as well, where we're talking about. I remember last time, one of the last times I talked to you, we were talking about, you know, on average some of these move about 300-400%, and that's where you're looking to potentially get involved for a backside move. Now, my question is, what are some of the things that you don't want to see? What are some of the things that keep you away from trying to short the backside of the move? Like, if you see it, you're like, no, I definitely don't want to touch this.
Well, on the backside, you feel more confident because you have the stop loss quite defined, right? But always when you short, you have to follow some check marks. Like if you check OMEX, for example, today, you don't short this front side because it has very strong news, right? It has a merger news and involved in some reverse split. So you don't short this front side until you see some weakness, right? So news could be one of the red flags to short the stock or not. If in the news we have, I think was CETX yesterday, we didn't short this one because the news was for us a red flag because it was government news influence, right? So if in the news we have words like government agreement or NVDA agreement or Meta agreement or phase 3, all these kind of news, we tag this news and we try to avoid to short some stocks that are having this kind of news, right? And also float or Chinese stock, all that, avoid you to go front side on the movement up and wait for the confirmation. Like as I said today, OMEX, it has a merger news and reverse split probability 25 to 1. So we didn't short this until we saw some intraday resistance. It was in 230s. I think I call it pre-market with Brendan. We have one resistance there in 230s, 240s. Yeah. There you go. You see, you have this resistance. We shorted there as the first time. We didn't short it pre-market front side because the movement was very difficult to short front side. We short there for the first time and we add on the back side, right?
Right, no, thank you very much.
Fantastic stuff. Now, Luis, I want to kind of dive in a little bit here to your playbook this morning, or a couple of names, because I had a couple on my radar, especially seeing what AIXI did yesterday. So I'm like, you know what? Considering what we're experiencing here in the NASDAQ, I know this might be a little bit out of your price range, HUBC, and then we also had CYCU. I'm curious to what you had, and were you looking at either one of these ones on your radar here today?
I didn't trade this CYCU, but the guys here in the trading floor, they did short this on the movement up. I think it's this one, right? CYCU. Let me see if it loads. Maybe it's not this. Oh, there. Some people shorted it. I didn't short it. For me, it's not enough volume, enough tape reading, enough action to short it there. Some people here in the office, as I said, they short it there. They add on the VWAP. They add again in the open. It was a very nice trade, but it was not in my radar. As we spoke pre-market on the trading plan on the playbook was today OMEX was this INHD was very nice. It was a very sharp movement up. Of course, it was very tricky to short there, but look at this. It's what we call VWAP rejection. We have been talking about this kind of trade. Today there was 2 stocks that did perfectly this trade. You can think, okay, it has gone down so much that I'm not going to short here. Look, it's still moving up like 300%. So the movement is from 0.85 to 0.3 now. So it's a lot of movement down. So this was a very nice on the playbook, VWAP rejection. And the other one was INTC, as we said, is the same, right? VWAP rejection worked very nice on these 2 tickers. There you have here and here again. VWAP rejection was one of the trade plan that worked better. We were waiting for this setup on BBGI, I think it was, but for me it didn't reach the VWAP enough. We were waiting for a movement near to $6, and it stopped around 550, 540. There you go. I was waiting, and as we spoke pre-market, this stock to go closer to the VWAP to short there. It was not enough for me to short there because the risk was a little bit far from the first entry, but I think it's going to work. As the market is going to close, it's going to fade below $5.
Perfect. Fantastic stuff. Before we conclude things, Luis, you know we have to. How is the weather in Barcelona today? Is it beautiful? Is it cold here? It's supposed to start to warm up in the beautiful city of Toronto. What's it looking like in Barcelona?
It's quite nice today already. I think it's like 24 degrees, something like that. And very sunny, very sunny.
All right, brother. Fantastic stuff. Looking forward to more conversation with you. Only 24, he says. We'll take that any day of the week. Thank you, guys. Luis Barbados.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right, there it is, man. 20. We love Luis. Yeah, it looks
good stuff there. I mean, we were looking at that INHD as well, and I was like, yeah, when it pops back up into that VWAP, it doesn't even break that halt down reference from the highs there as well. So I was like, okay, that's it's good to hear that from him. At the same time, some good confluence.
I was thinking we should have asked him if he shorted AIXI yesterday. I mean,
yesterday
today, I should say, because it was pretty strong. So, aside from that, guys, I mean, a nice uptick, inverted. NVTS was actually pretty good off of those highs. There it is. It's down approximately 10 cents off of that. That's not too bad. I mean, the market is still continuously climbing, but some nice indecision prints around the volume-weighted average price, and I think that's essentially what we want to look for. Bitcoin may be strong. I mean, we're just continuously squeezing and putting in new highs right there. What is Meta? I see that you're short Meta now, Obi, at 621. Oh, you got a monster move on that one. $7, just like that. Never mind. Short INTC, you short Meta up there, my boy.
Yeah, I should just stick to shorting things that are actually, showing me that sellers are now in charge. But again, you gotta, when you win some, you lose some there. That Intel bid, I did not expect it to be this aggressive, right? This is absolute aggression there. Breakout of high a day, pushing up into 58s. I wanted to give it to a 58 halves. Roughly, I have a bit of an area there that may or may not be a level of interest. We're still kind of chopping around this area as well, and relatively fresh catalyst. I shouldn't be losing too much on this here trade. But yeah, Meta, patiently waiting. The long was quite nice, right? The long's won for quite a while there, and a decent move, over a 4 or 5% move off of the 600 break, which was quite nice. Yeah, finally caught a little bit of slowdown. And I even mentioned before Luis came on, the market is starting to turn a little bit here at the same time. So confluence, a little bit of confluence there. And yeah, get a little bit lucky with that move down. Let's see if we can drop down into some of this prior structure, or if buyers step it up, if they continue to step it up. This is the first little bit of a pullback, right? This was the first 3-minute red candle that I did measure here. And the low of that candle is 618.88. We broke trend technically at 625s and some change. But if you were kind of watching the tape there, you might have seen some slowing down right underneath that 630. What's up, Adair?
So we have USO relatively in this channel for the last going on 3 hours. And as we await comments from White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt at her press briefing, we do have comments coming through from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who's holding his own press conference right now. He just said that Israel has made huge gains in the war. And here's the kicker, guys. He said, quote, Israel is poised to resume the war whenever necessary. So this ceasefire is looking more and more temporary. We know we've heard reports that both Iran and Israel have violated said ceasefire since it began. So just be aware here. Comments coming through from Netanyahu. We are expecting comments from the Trump administration at any moment. Back to you.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, no, he said he was going to say something around 115. And yeah, I guess he's saying Israel poised to resume war whenever necessary. I think that's what I'm seeing here on some of my feed. Meta pulling back into that 620 area right now. Let's see if we have any sort of continuation. Market did take a little bit of a step back, 25,100 here on the NASDAQ. Let's see if we can kind of bounce off there. First time we're getting some red candles back to back here with about 9 minutes left. So it's not over just yet. We've just begun maybe some of the selling after a bout of buying all the way from 25,000. That was a nice place to bounce off of. I like my quarters and 25,000 on the NASDAQ itself. Yeah, decent place to maybe look for something. We definitely get a bit of something there off of that level for about 150-point bid up into the day. Still up 3% on the NASDAQ, and I guess 2.5 roughly on the ES as of right now. So catching a little bit of a sell. We'll see if there's any true continuation of that selling. Again, sellers were pretty dominant right off of the open, and they kind of let off a bit middle of the day, and we're getting some selling stepping right back in. And as Adair just pointed out, might get some talk from both Israel's PM and the President of the United States Donald Trump himself soon enough. So we'll wait and see if that brings any sort of more volatility into the market here. Until then, let me know in the chat, what are you guys trading? Let's take a look at some of the names that were in play a little bit earlier.
There's a small cap, MIGI. It's moving pretty well here today.
Yeah,
liquidity
I have that
as well too. Yeah,
on my chart, surprisingly enough.
Oh yeah, nice. There you go.
I have been watching this one pretty closely for, I would say, since the open. But yeah, interesting stuff happening here on some of these small caps, to say the least. You can see expanding volume as well as it pushes up into that $5 level, 488 highs right now on MIGI.
Let's go, OB.
What do you got going?
Go, Katina Man. Well, I mean, Katina Man short. That was a big time move, almost into VWAP. We had to be prepared. I mean, you got that move on META. Sean, I guessed your price. I said 48. What is it? 48 approximately 36. Ooh, 48.31s. All right, I gave you the better price anyway. I'll take 46. But that was a big time volatility spike. Probably something stepping in here momentarily, guys. We bounce off of the volume weighted average price. Let's see if we can break through that here in IBIT. Hey guys, we got a super chat here, $5 from Jedi. Well, Obi is the Jedi Master. Hey guys, what's your take on Exxon earnings tomorrow? EXXON, is that a ticker?
My take is Exxon doesn't have earnings tomorrow, but I'll look into it in case they're doing kind
Exxon
of like
Mobil,
guidance give. But
okay, I mean there it is. So there it is, no earnings tomorrow. We had Delta earnings this morning, guys. Guidance, not necessarily what the street was looking for, but I'm pretty sure better than expected. We can always take a look on the print here this morning. But aside from that, there's a sympathy play in AAL as well. But fade that. When I seen that in American Airlines, I'm like, man, this is going to be a sell. And unfortunately, we didn't hold on to it long enough. What is?
Sorry, just confirming, no earnings for Exxon tomorrow for that super chat. Thank you.
And as per the banks, Adair, I know we could just look it up, but who do we have next week?
Oh, Goldman Sachs on Monday.
Monday.
And then you get Citigroup, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, all on Tuesday. Wednesday morning, you get Bank of America, and I'm missing one of them. Let me look down at my notes. Morgan Stanley on Wednesday, but Tuesday's all correct. Monday is just Goldman Sachs.
Good stuff. Thank you very much. We can take a look at. Thank you very much. We can take a look at all of that momentarily. But nonetheless, here we go. IBIT right into the volume weighted average price. We take our first partial on that one. 622 on Meta. Katina Man's in the money. We're slightly in the money. Obi's $7, so he's swimming deep in the money right now. Nice work on that one. Out of the Intel trade as he should have been, right into that Meta short, rocking and rolling. Some indecision prints off of the highs, precision entry from your boy to the right of me, and then that's how you lock in approximately $7+. And adding into the position I see as well too there, Obi. Talk to us what you got going on.
Yeah, so I was watching this a little bit of a bounce here. I did mark out the moving average a little bit earlier, so we came back in. I really want to see what we do in and around this area, right? I could still be very wrong on this trade if I'm looking to pull it in a little bit further past that 620 mark. But if we're going to hold it a bit higher here, that's perfectly fine at the same time. But this little consolidation, that's, I pointed out earlier, 620s to roughly about 622s, 23s. I'm curious what we do in and around here. This is where the bid stepped right back in after the first bout of some selling, or the second bout of some selling. The first bout, technically, after the news was down all the way down here at 600s, and then nice little pullback into 620s for a push all the way up to 629.92s. But yeah, aggressive move here. I think Meta's ATRs in and around, I think 12, was it $20? Yeah, 14-day ATR, $21.95, and we did almost $35 there on that bid up. So well over an ATR on that move. Decent volume as well, makes sense. Some interesting news as the market was anticipating something happening with Zuckerberg's aggressive poaching of talent sometime last year. So we finally got it's like the Dodgers, but if you can afford it, then why not do it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll talk to Neil.
We'll see how well the product is when it does.
Yeah, I think that's the real important thing. And if the street starts to find a lot of issues with it, then they're gonna like it less and less. You've added into that position. Any take profits on it, Obi, on the short there?
Not yet.
No, not yet. Add City. All right, guys, we start to take a little bit. I'm sitting on half of our percent here half a percent or 50% of my full position here on IBIT primary target, sitting around the volume weighted average price. Now we're just free rolling. Allow it to ride. 50% left. Let's see if we can get some more downside to continue. Netanyahu not ready, or is ready to continue to whatever he has to do. Essentially, Adair.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt went live within the last couple of minutes. I am listening. I'll keep you guys posted if there's anything massive that comes through here. It's also worth noting we're getting comments from Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, as well. He's not saying anything like massive or groundbreaking, but he's just repeating this idea that he insisted the ceasefire deal would not include the Hezbollah. We've heard a lot of talks about that. Furthermore, adding that Israel is ready to return to fighting at any time when it comes to Iran. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that. And yeah, I mean, there it is. These guys ready to rock and roll. SoFi wants red. So, I mean, we were grinding all day. We're starting to get somewhat of a pullback right at the volume weighted average price, kind of a key level where you would have some sellers step in. You have some news catalysts correlating with that as well, too. So that can add some more conviction within the price action. Let's see if we continue to bleed. I got my eyes on Meta along with you, Obi. Nice add on that one, and see if we get that continuation. I think by the way that we're looking right now, maybe we can break through that 622 support zone and then continue the southeast movement. Katina, man, you're in at what, 48.30s? 48.30s. You're going to take 30 pennies just like that. You can ride the bear for sure. We'll hit this for across the board. We'll see what Neil's in moment. Whoa, okay. It was a bear. Okay, I thought it was, all right, I thought it was something else there. Grr, all right, that was a tiger, rawr. Aside from that, no, obviously joking, we all knew that was the bear. If there's any movement along those lines. Same as IBIT short, Joe, 40.68. Oh, you dirty dog. Neil and I always have this little thing going on where we're like a penny or a penny two away from our IBIT shorts together. He got a penny better than me, 40.68 on that one. If I know Neil, oh, see, we need detail, all right? I can figure that out exactly what my price is, but we need detail. Neil, I bet you, I could bet my bottom dollar that you did take a little bit of profit at the volume-weighted average price. I'm just assuming, and assumptions make a bleep out of you and I. But essentially, if I pay attention, because of course, if I'd be ignorant not to see what those two, the individuals to the right of me are doing, I just have a little bit of a hunch, just under the volume-weighted average price, just like myself. But the market finding somewhat of a rebound here, Obi. I mean, Bitcoin can bounce back relatively strong. Maybe we should have took a little bit more off at 52, but let's be patient and see if we can find a potential lower low, and we can take profits off that. Maybe we grab another 30% or half of what we currently have on. Yeah,
about 30 seconds left until the end of this 15-minute candle to print. And yeah, maybe we get a bit of a bid, right? So we talk about candle formation. Sometimes, you know, if the candles, if you're looking for the candle to make a bit of a bottom wick, then yeah, you get a bid coming into the end of that candle close at times. So yeah, a bit of a bid here. Let's see what happens. We cracked below that 25,100 on the NASDAQ. Do we continue? Here's the beginning of the next 15-minute candle starting to print here on the bottom right side of my screen. Let's see if we catch let's see if we catch a bit of a sell here.
Trade is done, Neil.
Or a continuation at the same time, or do we catch a bit of a bid on the market? So still got a little bit more involved here on Meta. We'll see if it can hold below 25s. If not, that's fine as well, and we'll look for the next potential trade. But yeah, a bit of a pullback. Looking for that continuation. We could just chop around as well. I have no idea. Intel continues to swipe right back up. I was like, oh, Intel, you coming back below that 58.5 now? No, swipes right back up through that even before that 15-minute candle stops or finishes printing there. So I'm going to be more patient if I want to get involved with that one again. But yeah, let me know in the chat what you guys are trading, what you guys are up to, and we're more than willing to take a look at that. Wow, that's a bit of a strong bid. But again, want to make sure I'm watching this 25-100 and see what we do with that area right now. Taylor in the chat saying EONR, Eon Resources. Okay, let's take a look at EONR. Yeah, I don't know if I want to take a look at this one, man. Absolutely not that much volume. 7.8 million in the chart looks like this. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't even, this is not something that I would touch with a 10-foot pole. But good luck to you, whatever your strategy on that is. You know what I like to call this kind of chart, where literally there's nothing on the chart, it just crumbles. It's just cookie crumbles on the chart. Not really tradable, and not really there for the cookie crumbs either. But yeah, good luck on that one. MIGI, we already talked about that one. Palantir is saying Luis Suarez. Let's take a look at PLTR here and what is going on with that one. Wow, okay, so continuation. Last I looked at it with you guys, we were breaking through this day low, and now we're getting another bit of a pullback in 143.40's day low with an opening range high of 156.26. So that's a decent bit of a move there, down over 8% on the day is Palantir today, Joe.
Good stuff. Yeah, I mean, I'm all out of this IBIT trade. I think it's done, in my opinion. Trailing stop. But as soon as I see this hammer print on the 5-minute time frame on some volume as well, too, that's my green light to get out. Regardless, if we construct a lower high, then I can just re-engage. We'll lock that in. It is starting to sell a little bit here, but that is worst case scenario, in my opinion. I think that it might break through this previous pivot high, but that doesn't mean we can't get right back in. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. Starting to sell a little bit now, but as it stepped back towards my break even, trail the stop and just get out of dodge on that one before it even comes back. So we'll be patient to see if there's going to be another opportunity to get involved. And if it breaks, if it heads lower, then by all means, we can classify this as a lower high right now. Or somewhat of a breath, but it is, you can see that we have this pivot level, and then sure enough, we don't establish a new high. Tape's still relatively strong, but I don't like what I see on the 5-minute, and we can head over to other time frames as well, too, to see if it's kind of correlating with other names. No, it's more or less on the 5, so maybe longer time frame, more heavily weighted. Regardless, we take that scalp, stopped out 50% all the way up here. We'll piece out a little bit more next time, especially on these moves and aggressive rebounds. Market's still hovering around the lows, so attaboy, Katina, man. That one's looking relatively weak, significantly weaker than what we're seeing here in Bitcoin as it bounces back. Meta, we've gone over that on multiple occasions. Obi's still short in that, name down to 624.60, so it's finding somewhat of a rebound as well. 181, a strong day to start in NVDA, but now all giving back a couple points here, right? We can go over the options chain momentarily to see where the supply zone is. Why are we continuously rejecting this 185 mark? We also have to take into consideration the post-market move and how that's going to affect the pricing of the options as well. So moving forward, guys, let's take a look at the NVDA chain, which is highly liquid and typically can tell us a lot of a specific direction. And I mean, if we look at today's expiration, you'll see some size. But I think it's more or less Friday. We want to see what we can get going on here on Friday. Where are the largest amounts of open interest, and where may we trade lower by the end of the week? Now, these are underwater if you're a writer, essentially worth $4.90. That's not bad whatsoever, okay? But you got to take into consideration the 177.5s are now ITM by $4, roughly, okay? Where is that next massive zone? Well, right around where we're trading, okay? So these at-the-money contracts are looking pretty good. 62,000, they're worth $1.47, okay? If you're looking to write, $1.45. Now, you have to be prepared. This is where a lot of individuals, including myself in the earlier days, where I fell into a lot of trouble. It was like, oh, $140, and I can have the right to 100 shares of NVDA at $182. Yeah, well, guess what? We're going to keep an eye out on this contract. By tomorrow, the chances are it's going to lose half of its value unless you have a crazy move up like we experienced yesterday in the post market. okay? So this is, they're attractive numbers, but they're also out to get you, right? It's like, that was a horrible analogy I was about to use. It's just like essentially luring you in with candy and things that look attractive, only to really be like, hey, haha, we're gonna take your money unless you're on the opposite side of things, okay? So using theta in your favor with some of these options contracts. I'm gonna get paired to go to Adair momentarily. Adair.
Yeah, we have some comments coming through from White House Press Secretary Caroline Levitt. She said that it's been relayed publicly or privately to President Trump that the Strait of Hormuz, I guess, has remained open, and any reports otherwise are false. I'm hearing something to that effect here. So again, it sounds like Caroline Levitt is saying that the Strait of Hormuz has been open, or at least there's been some kind of agreement there. That does, of course, kind of go against reports we've heard otherwise. But again, she's saying that that actually is the case, that what we're hearing privately is not the same as what's happening publicly. So take that as you will. Lots of confused lines here coming from all sides of this conflict. Caroline Levitt also saying that the imminent threat from Iran has been greatly destroyed, and Fed's Daily making some comments here. Apparently none of her comments involved policy, but she did just say just now that it's a little too early to tell if there will be any economic consequences or what the extent of the economic consequences will be to the Iran war. Back to you.
Good stuff. Like, I mean, this is what I was talking about literally a couple minutes ago. Trail stop out on this one, even though it's closer to my break even, and then boom, I'm like, what I seen at the volume weighted average price was the worst case scenario. There's a couple of things that we can look at now and say, hey, yeah, we're looking for short. We got a 5-minute pullback, and then it was like, yeah, whatever. Good luck on that one. You better get out relatively quick because look, continuous hold of the trend line. Didn't break, and you have that indecision print, all right? So that one looked pretty good, and it just really, really had a squeeze there. Coming back in right now, but the volume stepped in. Now, Danny boy, what's going on, brother? We'll take a look at, hey, guys, AAIO just keeps handing out money. Is there news I'm missing? I'm up another $8 since we last looked at it. It's up another $8, or you're up another $8. Regardless, it's up $8, AAIO. We can take a look at some news. AAOI, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that. AAIO. I can't even pull it up now. Is it O?
Yeah.
Yeah. AAOI.
That's the one?
Applied. Yeah, I think it's the other one. Okay, yeah, we can take a look at some news. Price spike, 52-week high. Computer BLE sector. I don't see anything. Just a lot of price spikes, so I don't see anything from a news standpoint up here. SK Applied Optech share. Why did Wall Street here? There might be one. Why did Wall Street miss this? Applied has become one of the most market striking rediscovery stories, not simply because the stock rose 862% over the last 12 months, but because the surge unfolded what mainstream Wall Street coverage remained unusually thin. The company was long associated with its 2017 collapse with a major customer pullback, years of losses in shares that prices fell roughly to $1.50 in 2022. That history a long lasting the same. Okay, so there's nothing much really over there. I'm not seeing anything from a news standpoint, but it's definitely climbing higher. Substantial moves in the past 12 months, as it just stated. How's it look from a technical standpoint? Could it be a technical breakout? Maybe, but from a news perspective, nothing. And I think that's what we're sitting on, Danny boy, right? You got to take, this is a previous pivot high of 128 bucks. We're climbing, we're breaching through that. So there may not have to necessarily be any form of news, which I could be wrong and I could be missing something, but I looked up on my news, which is pretty consistent, is that essentially, hey, technical breakout, off to the races we go. And I think that's the case here in AAOI, Applied Oppo Electronics.
Yeah, so talking to Dassner in the chat saying that, yeah, full port, let's go. Yeah, man, I mean, I'm still kind of watching this. We got to slam down into those 620s. Guess what? There's a nice bounce happening off of 620, 66s. I think that is the low right now. Yeah, 620, 66s here on this candle swipe back down. Couldn't really get through that 625, so that's part of definitely what I want to see. Let's see if we can get through this 620 now, as well as we look like we're starting to step down as well. But that 25-100 on the NASDAQ, definitely looking for that as confluence. And I think, Joe, you got a super chat right there. Pretty long one there.
Yeah, it's a pretty long one. And Parker U7H6G. Now listen, full disclosure. this is something that you really need to hone in on. You don't want to force it. I worked on it for quite some time, and full disclosure, last summer took some massive hits on it, and that's because I swayed from the strategy and made some mistakes myself that I don't necessarily implement it as much as I used to. But I can tell you and I can show you guys, maybe I'll just bring up some of my old data essentially from before. I'll show you the equity curve base and everything along those lines, okay? So, Super Chat reads as follows. Market's starting to sell a little bit aggressively here. The volatility in Bitcoin is most definitely in. It's coming back in since our previous entry price. Inverted hammer candle, trend line break. There might be a solid opportunity to engage. Now, let's get back into the Super Chat. Parker, how much time do we have left? Okay, we have more than enough time because I'm going to go on a little bit of a spiel here. All right. Hey, Joe, could you expand / explain how to use the options writing strategy you mentioned earlier? Interested on how you can consistently generate a few hundred weekly and minimal drawdowns, what stops, names, etc. Thanks. Now, the objective obviously is to make money, but you don't want to just hyper-focus on the money and just put on trades to put on trades. The objective is to essentially put on good trades, which should then translate into bringing in a little bit of cash flow, okay? So, the strategy that I ran before was essentially running bear call spreads and bull put spreads. I don't think it's in this book. Is it? If it is, then I'll be surprised. Oh, okay, yeah, it is. Wow, okay, this thing is really old. So, what I have in this notebook here is a bunch of my old strategies that we can go over, and I would just write things out. Like literally every week, I would just have a collection. I know I'm kind of swaying from the strategy in itself, but I don't know if you can see it. But every week I just had a bunch of different names where I would write down and I'd be like, okay, these are potential ones. I would put on a couple contracts here and there. Now, what is the system that I used? Well, there's two things that you really need to understand. Understand your Greeks, and then understand the premium that you're going to collect, and then also the strategy. There's multiple strategies that you can implement. As I was talking about, I was using the bear call spread and the bull put spreads. So what is a bear call spread? Essentially, it is a writing first and then buying protection, inverse vertical spread. Okay, so it collects a net premium, okay? You collect a net credit, sorry. So it's a net credit. Whatever that credit may be is the maximum amount of dollars that you can actually take home, okay? So whatever the collection is, that's it. You cannot make any more. Can you lose substantially more? Absolutely. Absolutely, keep that in mind. So what I would do here, essentially, we'll go over a more popular name. I don't know why it's not showing. We'll go over to 5 days, and we'll say, hey, why isn't it showing more of the bid and out? These aren't worth anything or anything along those lines. Let's go to a different name, something that's going to be a little bit more cooperative. All right, it's really, really weird how we're not seeing more things. Anyways, aside from that, what I would do is I kept everything the same, waited for price to come to me, and then if it happened to go across multiple names, then it was like, okay, let's rock and roll. First things first. We use our delta metric. What is our delta metric? It is the Greek that essentially can essentially tell us, hey, this is the probability of what this contract will expire in the money or out the money. We went over the example. Look at IBIT. In 5 days, we're about $2 from now, but what our delta metric here is saying at that 90, right at that 901 is saying, hey, we have a 90% chance that this contract is going to expire in the money by the time of its expiration cycle. Okay, but also the way that I was looking at it is there's a 10% chance that it can expire out of the money. Now, let's head back into our short writing, and that's what I would use in my options writing strategy. So I would go and I would look for my delta, my one delta or closest to one, and say, hey, yeah, there's a 98% chance that this $43 strike price is going to expire out of the money. Now, I would look to collect substantially more premium than what you're getting here, more expensive names like the NVDAs or something that's had a volatility spike. And then I would sell this contract, and then I would go 5 strike prices higher and then buy that contract from a protection standpoint. Because if you're going straight short calls, you essentially need all the capital up there. So anyways, long story short, the key metrics in which I would use is your delta metric and go to that 10 delta, right? So a 90% chance that it's going to expire out of the money. I would then buy my protection via purchasing a call option approximately 5 strikes higher, and then I would allow those contracts to expire worthless. That is, That's as simplistic as I can put it, but it took some time to kind of grasp it and understand what you're dealing with when it comes to implied volatility, how a gamma affects it as you get closer to the expiration cycle. But that's essentially what I used for quite some time just to generate that passive income. And it worked. You take some big hits, but when you're putting that probability and using that delta metric in your favor, it's like, okay, you shoot a higher percentage. Your wins aren't always going to be larger than your losses. Sometimes you take those larger losses, but then you put on 5, 6, 7, and potentially 8 wins in a row before you do end up losing some before. But again, you have to take into consideration, unless you use a stop, which is something that I also use, and you tend to get stopped out a little bit more when you have a 1-to-1. So it's like, okay, you collect $30 per contract combination. And I collect $30. The options writing contract, the short contract is worth $30. I would take a stop out at $60, and that's it. That's as simple as I can put it. It gets a little bit more complex. There's some more things, but hopefully that helped you out a little bit.
Nice, thank you very much for that, Joe. Great knowledge there on the options chain. So 620s coming in here on Meta. So finally got to those 620s. I marked out that prior low being 618.88. We got about $1 away from there on Meta here. And what do I mean when I say that? I just mean this support right here. And throw in a line. Boom, right there. So we're coming into that level right now as well. That's sitting. Does it mark it for me? No, but 618.19. This is, again, get a bit of a double bounce here. This is a 1-minute chart. Bit of a double bounce here. The first time after the breakout of that 603, where buyers started to step in a little bit here once again. But now the fact that buyers have kind of cooled off, sold off from all the way from 630s, now down about roughly more than $10 into 620s. My question I'm going to ask is, do the buyers step back in again in and around these levels? The first little flush off, we did get a bit of a bounce, but coming into this 618 level, let's see if there's actual follow through of buyers or if there's follow through of sellers. Market still kind of chopping around this 25,100 as of right now, with about just over 11.5 minutes left in this 15-minute candle. So I'm just waiting, watching, to see if anything significant happens in and around here, but nothing else really. Intel actually got to 59s, which is crazy. What a bid on this one. Day 2 catalyst. Yep, got to respect this when the bid comes in this aggressively. Maybe I'll look at this tomorrow. But bigger picture, this isn't an uptrend, right? Bigger picture, we're breaking out of that range from 25s and 26s that we were holding for multiple months. So sometimes I really got to ask myself the question. It's like, okay, cool. I understand that maybe some of these reversions or shorts might be there, but bigger picture, if it's a long on the bigger picture, if it's been bidding bigger picture, and we get some decent catalysts, like, do I really should I be involved with this, or should I be flipping and looking to take breakouts as well, right? If it's in an uptrend bigger picture, what's the likelihood of being successful taking breakouts rather than breakdowns, and then maybe even reversions of selling action as well, right? So again, good questions I'm going to be asking myself in the journaling tonight, but nothing else too crazy that I'm seeing here. I know a few people talking about the meta position here. Yeah, I mean, 620, it's looking for either a hold, some piece of information in and around the 620 mark. Palantir, yes, Palantir continues to break down lower. So getting with the trend on this one was a much better idea. As look at this breakdown. And we know Palantir has already been in a bigger picture downtrend. So the question becomes, when you have weak days like this, are you taking reversions or are you taking breakdowns? That definitely adds strong confluence. And you can see, sure, it's not that big of a move relative to what you got off of the open, but you can catch 1% or 2%, maybe 1.5% for getting with the trend on the day as well as bigger picture. We know where Palantir came from, going just up to the weekly, coming down all the way from a high of 207.52. So yes, maybe some could argue that we're still technically making higher highs. higher lows as well. This prior low at 126s, yes, but in my opinion, the trend is broken. And I think I have a bunch of indicators here that do confluence with my opinion. A lot of anchored VWAPs from specific events like earnings and certain types of price action here. We're trading well below them and also holding some of them as some resistance. So that's the look on Palantir. And I do have to get a little bit better with that kind of concept. It's like, even if the trade is there to take the reversion, what is it doing bigger picture? And how much do I have to respect some of the selling or the buying on the day? And there goes Meta coming into that level from before. Let's see, I don't expect the breakdown to be clean, nor do I expect this breakdown to be exactly at that level of 618.80s. Let's see what it does. I'm sure it's going to chop around here before it gives me a little bit of more information. But seller dominance definitely is the main thing that I'm seeing here on Meta as it pulls in a little bit closer. VWAP all the way down at 612s. I don't know if we're going to get all the way down to VWAP, but if we're really talking about a reversion to the mean off of something that's done an absolute crazy kind of a move, we talked about over an ATR to the upside after it had already done, let's say, I think about half an ATR. Yeah, roughly about half an ATR, maybe just over to the downside, and it does over 1.5 ATR to the upside there. So a lot of dollar volume being pushed on this one, a lot of volatility on this one, and that's the place that I want to be. I want to be in a spot where, you know, things are experiencing a decent amount of volatility. There's a lot of players involved. You can see the relative volume spike here as well. We talk about when it comes to the Mag 7 and large cap names, 2 times, if it's 2 times RVOL, especially on a 5-day, like that's significant. That's well within play. Right now we have some size chasing down as well. They got filled right away. I guess 3,000 shares is not that much on Meta. Wish I had that many, but you know, not even close. But we'll see. There was a seller there just underneath 618. That's kind of maybe chasing it down for a few seconds. And that's the thing. It's like, things can show up on the tape and they can be very easily just straight up noise, right? You have to look for things that are distinctly different, and that's why I keep those filters here. So I guess this is not Meta tape. We'll take a look at Meta tape here and show you guys what I'm talking about. And you know, you can see here, filtered, this doesn't have the size filter on it, absolute share, so it's just gonna round it up and show one lot. But let me just go here, go to settings and go absolute share size, boom, boom, and then we can filter. I'll filter for 2,000 shares. So boom, 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 filter for 199.99. And if anybody shows up with a larger size than that, it'll be highlighted on the book here. But 118 is coming in here, retesting some of this prior support area. Market still holding beneath 25,100, which is kind of what I'm looking for. It's what I want to see here. We'll see if Meta does some more continuation to the downside. Adair?
The White House press briefing from White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt just concluded. I didn't talk too much during it because there wasn't too much to say, other than, again, I do have to stress the fact that she has said that A, her understanding is that the Strait of Hormuz is open, and B, if the Strait of Hormuz does not reopen, or is not open, that's going to be an issue for President Trump. Again, we've heard reports suggesting the opposite, but she said the things that are being reported privately or being reported publicly are different from what President Trump and the team are being told privately. Take that as you will. And again, this is not me saying whether or not the Strait is reopened or closed. This is just me reiterating what has been told to us. Again, that's kind of the main thing to emphasize here. They're still talking with Cuba, nothing really market moving or massive. But yeah, I mean, with regards to oil, the whole Strait of Hormuz thing is worth noting. The other thing she mentioned that was of note is reiterating that Lebanon is in fact not part of this temporary ceasefire with the US, Iran, and Israel. Again, if I get more details, I'll let you know. Back to you.
Right, or even like 610s. Like, I can't wait to start doing that as well on the side. We're just talking about some of the options plays we can be potentially doing alongside the trades that we're already taking and the things that we're already seeing, right? So something like a Meta, talking about a 630 put, or maybe even get a little cheeky with it. Take a look at where VWAP is, 610.
Oh, Obi, I was literally just about to say that.
Right.
I'm like, hey, if you're looking for that move, I think the real big play is to buy those extremely out of the money.
Of course. I mean, they're a little bit.
That's where you would see the more return, to be honest with you.
Why not both?
That's worth it.
Do a little bit of both.
You can do a little bit of both. Yeah, absolutely both.
I can't wait for us to be exercising.
Made 1,000%. So just like that, let's do that right now, Obi. What is VWAP at right now? We can pull up the actual options chain chart to see, and we can do a quick comparison before the end of the day.
On this chart, I have it at roughly 611.80s. On this chart, I have 611.80s.
611.
So we'll go like 612 halves.
612 and a half.
Yeah, 612 halves. What have they done
here? So. Okay, what time did it start selling?
So in my opinion, I think 103. Around 103.
103. Oh, I'm on the calls. Sorry.
Yeah, you gotta go.
Yeah, I gotta go to the puts here.
And make sure you're doing the right side.
Yeah, we gotta make sure we're on the right side there, Obi. Otherwise, we're gonna be having a real bad time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say 1,000%. So around 103 is when it started selling.
I don't think that's 1,000%.
No, that's 66%.
Yeah.
From that peak on that 612 put. Adair.
Yeah, I just think it's kind of interesting because for what it's worth, A, congrats to Obi on that trade, and B, I was watching the tape on Meta, and I've said this a lot of times, these spready tickers have like weird interactions with these $10 and $100 levels. So Meta, the way Meta behaved at 630, I think was super par for the course, regardless of when the selling started or how far it was from VWAP. To me, as someone who watches these like day in, day out, that is significantly less relevant than Meta being at 630. And if you want more evidence of this, look at what LITE did at 900 today and get back to me. But great job, Obi. I think great trade.
Thank you for that. Yeah, no, the tape was distinct at 6:30. I even mentioned that. I was like, even though it was well before the trend break. And another thing is you got to look for distinct difference. I already mentioned multiple times. While Meta was running up, I'm like, I'm watching it. I want to look for things that look distinctly different, and that did start to occur in and around those 6:30s. So
you get 10% better
on the 610s.
On the 612s. On the 612s. On 612 and a half, you get 10% better.
Okay, yeah.
Right? So, I mean,
nice.
He's going from 1070
That's what I'm saying. Why not both? Make 60% on both.
I mean, the value at it. Yeah. Like, I mean, obviously the risk profile is extremely different. If we go over to this one, right, it's substantially different. Here, even though they are relatively expensive, you have to take that into consideration. $4, right? Like at that 106 mark. $425 opposed to $1,000.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Adair.
Yeah, I just want to mention here in a couple of minutes, we do have the FOMC meeting minutes. Again, these are very unlikely to be massive or in any way, but we'll get a little bit of a sense of why the Fed voted the way they did. Again, we had 11-1 vote to hold rates steady. The one holdout was, to no surprise, Fed's Myron, who wanted a 25 basis point cut. I'll be covering this on social media mainly because it's not going to be massive here on the show, but if you check us out on X at TTV Research, I will give a rundown of the main points that we got from those minutes.
All right, thank you very much, Adair.
Right, yeah, I mean, yeah. So there it is, right? It's a 6% difference roughly between the two out of the money contracts. If we can go lower, I think the lower. How low can you go? The lower that you go,
check the 600s, because like I would be interested in the 630s, the 610s maybe.
The 600s
for sure.
600s are 77% from the same time. All right, so like every 10-point increment, you're getting like 10% more. I mean, I don't know how long that's going to go on for. We can go down to the 595. That's another $5 lower to see how this one's going to be looking from the exact same time to that 68%. So it's different. It varies. I think there's probably going to be a threshold and a level where it's just like, okay, you've optimized, you've maximized essentially the potential of the return. Yeah. Of some of these contracts. Some are significantly more liquid than the others. You can see that this 595 isn't very liquid. And if you head over,
you also have to figure out like the liquidity. Some of them might be a little bit more.
Yeah, like essentially you would.
Same thing as like
you can look at volume.
Like chain selection is going to be a thing.
Absolutely.
Right?
Volume
that's always going to be the case.
Let's see, like that's why when we're looking at the 600s, significantly more liquid than what we're seeing at the 612s and a half.
It makes more sense for volume at like in and around VWAP strikes to maybe be a little bit more as well, right?
At VWAP strikes?
Yeah.
To be more? No, I mean, no, like it'd be cheaper.
Is that not the case?
No.
I'm saying the volume, the open interest.
Oh, the volume. Yeah.
The
Not
open
the not
interest
the
of
value
those
of them for
strikes.
sure.
Yeah.
Hey Joe, can you buy a covered call against the call rather than against an equity position? What is it called? Yeah, absolutely, man. That's just buying protection. You're hedging position. It's called poor man's covered call, right? So like you have a options contract. Say you buy the 600. You bought the 600 call, and you're like, oh man, this thing is sucking. I need to collect a little bit of premium just in case it decides to tank. You buy something significantly higher in strike price. That's called a poor man's covered call. So, yeah, you can most definitely do that. All right, guys, it's past our time. It's time for Neil and Sean to start rocking and rolling. They got a new theme here, much anticipated, and I think a lot of people love it, considering, including myself. Obi, nice short there on META. It's time for the big boys to start rocking and rolling.
Take care, guys.